Chapter 1285. Kill. At this moment, Ho Tianti roared, and the icicles behind him formed a dense net that rushed towards Tang Ao. The moment the giant net rushed over, Tang Ao stepped back, and then Tang Ao's figure jumped up. However, this giant net was like a living thing under Ho Tianti's control. The icicles that formed the giant net immediately changed direction and flew towards Tang Ao in the air again. Flying to Tang Ao's front and back, these giant nets immediately scattered into sharp icicles, shooting towards Tang Ao. At this time, Tang Ao also put away the 100 battle spear soul, and a burst of bright green light bloomed. Behind Tang Ao, 7 green lotus swords appeared instantly. After these 7 green lotus swords appeared, they quickly moved and collided with the icicles shot by Ho Tianti. In an instant, the yuan qi in the sky surged, and dazzling brilliance flashed. The sound of the collision between the icicles and the green lotus swords was constantly heard, and the icicles were constantly cut off by the green lotus swords. However, with the replenishment of Ho Tianti's yuan qi, they quickly condensed and flew towards Tang Ao again. In an instant, Tang Ao was surrounded by fog, and the green light flashed constantly. At this time, the crowd could no longer see the shadow of the green lotus swords, and even the icicles that were constantly attacking Tang Ao became a little blurred. This was, of course, not because Ho Tianti's attack had weakened, but because the speed of the two had reached a shocking level. Many people had such a thought at this moment. That was, could a battle between body-refining realm martial artists reach such a level? Bang! There was a shocking explosion in the air. Ho Tianti's sky, full of icicles, actually exploded in an instant. This scene caused many warriors to be somewhat dumbfounded. However, those martial artists who were familiar with Ho Tianti knew that since Ho Tianti had detonated the icicles, the battle was already over. At this time, Ho Tianti's faint voice also came out. "Your name is Tang Ao, right? I will remember it. You should be honored to die under this move of mine." At this time, Ho Tianti's face was expressionless. It was as if killing a member of the Qinyan Union was a very normal thing to him, even if this warrior could become one of the masters of the Qinyan Union in the future. But because he was Ho Tianti, he could kill anyone who offended him. Bang! What Ho Tianti didn't expect was that the icicle that had exploded into ice shards suddenly exploded again. Ho Tianti looked up and saw a blue light flashing in Tang Ao's eyes. At the same time, the explosion of the icicles didn't hurt Tang Ao at all. Ho Tianti didn't know what method Tang Ao had used, but the flying icicles all stopped 3 feet away from Tang Ao's body, unable to go any further. And at this moment, the explosion was caused by the eruption of Tang Ao's energy, which shook off all the ice shards. After shaking off the ice shards, Tang Ao didn't hesitate. Tang Ao made a hand seal, and the 7 green lotus sword souls behind Tang Ao began to tremble violently. At the same time, a killing intent that made people tremble also spread out from the green lotus sword. The green lotus sword shook, and then 7 rays of green light flew towards Ho Tianti at lightning speed. At this moment, Ho Tianti, who had always been indifferent to life, actually had a strong desire to live. Ho Tianti wanted to dodge, but he was shocked to find that his body seemed to be locked by something. At this moment, he actually couldn't move. Ho Tianti couldn't imagine that Tang Ao was clearly only at the 5th level of the body refining realm, but how could Tang Ao be so strong? It should have been him who killed Tang Ao. But why was it that at this moment he was walking towards death? Looking at the 7 rays of green light that were constantly enlarging in his eyes, Ho Tianti's eyes were filled with despair. Chapter 1286. Boom! Just as the green light was about to hit Ho Tianti, 2 silhouettes suddenly appeared in front of him. The first silhouette was a body-refining realm level 6 martial artist that followed Ho Tianti. This martial artist was holding a spirit treasure shield in his hands. However, at this moment, this spirit treasure shield had a hole in it, and the surrounding area was filled with cracks. This martial artist looked at his chest in disbelief. This was because after the green light had pierced through his shield, it had instantly entered his chest. At this moment, he saw that his chest was empty, and there was a large, transparent hole. However, he did not feel any pain at all. He lifted his head and looked suspiciously. He saw Tang Ao move his lips. Although he could not hear what Tang Ao was saying, he could imagine that Tang Ao was probably saying that he was courting death, and that he could not blame Tang Ao. This was the last thought in the mind of this body refining realm level 6 martial artist. After thinking of this, his lips curled into a self-deprecating smile, and his body fell heavily to the ground. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists could not help but draw in a breath of cold air. Terrifying. This was simply too terrifying. A martial artist at the peak of the body, refining realm level 6, had actually been killed in one move by Tang Ao. Moreover, he had been killed in one move by Tang Ao while using a spirit treasure to defend himself. Ho Tianxi was indeed known as a genius martial artist. His battle record of being unrivaled in the same level was enough to be proud of. Moreover, Ho Tianxi also had the ability to fight above his level, and he had done so many times. However, in all of Ho Tianxi's battles above his level, there had never been a case of him killing a martial artist one level higher in one move. In other words, Tang Ao's strength far exceeded everyone's imagination. Tang Ao's battle power was not weaker than Ho Tianxi's, but even exceeded Ho Tianxi's. Pucci. At this moment, the martial artist in front of Ho Tianxi also spat out a mouthful of blood. When the crowd saw this martial artist who had spat out blood, they could not help but gasp. This person's reputation wasn't that great, but he was a true body refining realm 7th level martial artist. This was a bald man wearing animal skin. Because of his burly figure, he was only pierced in the ribs by the green lotus sword, unlike the warrior in front of him, who was pierced in the heart by the green lotus sword. Even so, his injuries were not optimistic. After taking a pill, the bald man immediately sat cross-legged on the ground and began to heal his injuries. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked speechless. Although the bald man had only attacked in a hurry, Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul had pierced through a spirit weapon and a martial artist at the 6th level of the body, refining realm before injuring him. If it wasn't for his burly body, he would have been pierced through by the azure lotus sword soul. After witnessing such frightening lethality, everyone looked at Tang Ao with some respect. In the world of martial arts, the strong were respected. In the Hidden Dragon Cave, there were many martial artists at the 5th level of the body, refining realm. They were not considered strong, but Tang Ao was the first to be able to kill someone at the 6th level of the body, refining realm, in an instant. Moreover, Tang Ao had not only killed a martial artist at the 6th level of the body, refining realm, with his cultivation at the 5th level of the body, refining realm, he had also killed a martial artist at the 7th and 8th level of the body, refining realm. That's right, other than the two people just now, Ding Peng, who had instantly appeared to save Ho Tianxi, had also been killed by Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul. Chapter 1287. At that moment, Ho Tianxi also recovered from his previous shock. After turning around, Ho Tianxi immediately pointed at Tang Ao and howled, "Bastard! You dare to kill me? I want you dead. Ding Peng, go kill him." Facing Ho Tianxi's order, Ding Peng was a bit hesitant. Of course, it wasn't that Ding Peng was afraid of Tang Ao. It was because Lin Dongnan had already saved Chu Feng, and the 9 tarantulas were all killed by Lin Dongnan. So, if he attacked Tang Ao again, Ding Peng knew that Lin Dongnan would definitely interfere. Lin Dongnan was also one of the Vice Alliance heads of Qin Yun. If he didn't have anything to do, it would be impossible for him to be in that position. Ding Peng hadn't fought Lin Dongnan head-on, but Ding Peng didn't believe that he, who was in the 8th level, could defeat Lin Dongnan, who was at the peak of the 9th level. Ding Peng, are you a pig? I'm telling you to go kill Tang Ao immediately. Ho Tianxi furiously roared again when he saw Ding Peng's indifference. After speaking, Ho Tianxi said to the people fighting at the side, "You don't want to live either? My father told you to listen to me. Go kill Tang Ao right now. At that moment, Ho Tianxi was a bit like a mad demon. Ever since he started cultivating, Ho Tianxi had always been an existence that crushed his peers. He had never suffered any losses, nor had he met any setbacks. Even the sunflower water mysterious technique that no one in Qing Yun's alliance could cultivate was successfully cultivated by him. But today, he suffered such humiliation from Tang Ao's hands. If he didn't kill Tang Ao, he wouldn't be able to swallow this anger. After hearing Ho Tianxi's words, they hesitated for a moment, then also walked towards Tang Ao. However, Ding Peng still didn't move. Instead, he looked at Tang Ao with extreme vigilance. Just now, Tang Ao's 7 kills holy Dao left a deep impression on Ding Peng. Ding Peng was sure that if Ho Tianxi had transformed normally, it would not have been a problem for him to snatch Tang Ao's 7-killing divine path. But now, Ho Tianxi had lost his rationality. If he were to surround Tang Ao, and Tang Ao used the 7-kill sage Dao to attack Ho Tianxi, in the end, the best result was that they might be able to kill Tang Ao, but Ho Tianxi would definitely die. The reason why he said it was possible was because once Lin Dongnan interfered, it would be wishful thinking for them to kill Tang Ao. Ding Peng, are you deaf? This young master is telling you to kill him as well, Tang Ao. As Ho Tianxi spoke, he stabbed out with his sword, but it was caught by Ding Peng. The boiling hot blood flew onto Ho Tianxi's face. Feeling the stimulation of the fresh blood, Ho Tianxi's crazed demeanor also improved a little. After taking a deep breath, the long sword light in Ho Tianxi's hand dissipated. This was originally Ho Tianxi's life spirit. Under Ho Tianxi's control, this life spirit also returned to Ho Tianxi's body. Uncle Ding Peng, if Tang Ao doesn't die today, a heart demon will definitely form in your nephew's heart. Uncle Ding Peng, please kill Tang Ao for me. Although his emotions had calmed down, Ho Tianxi's eyes were still filled with cold, killing intent towards Tang Ao. On the other side, the few martial artists who had attacked first had already arrived in front of Tang Ao. Tang Ao waved his sleeves, and 7 green lotus swords appeared in a fan shape beside Tang Ao. I don't want to kill you. Step down. At this moment, there were martial artists at the 7th and 6th stage of the body, refining realm in front of Tang Ao, but they didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Tang Ao's words. Chapter 1288. At that moment, the aura on Tang Ao's body was even. It was impossible to tell if Tang Ao had exhausted a lot of energy from the attack just now. If one only looked at it from the surface, Tang Ao's face was calm and his aura was even. After using the 7 Slaughter Divine Way, he didn't seem to have exhausted any energy at all. Such a thing was simply unheard of. So, even though they surrounded Tang Ao, not a single person dared to attack him. As they hesitated, they suddenly felt a heavy aura pressing down on them. After feeling that aura, everyone's faces lit up. Even without turning their heads, they knew that there was no one else other than Ding Peng who had that aura. When Situ Qianqian saw Ho Tianxi's subordinates surrounding Tang Ao, she immediately panicked. When she looked towards Lin Dongnan's direction, she saw Lin Dongnan treating Chu Feng's injuries. Chu Feng's current state was very bad. He seemed to be on the verge of death. Lin Dongnan didn't have any children, and Chu Feng was Lin Dongnan's adopted son. In a situation like that, without even thinking, Situ Qianqian knew that Lin Dongnan wouldn't come to help Tang Ao. Thinking to that point, Situ Qianqian took out her pair of short spikes and ran to Tang Ao's side. Big brother Tang Ao, this time, I'll fight alongside you. Qianqian, step back. Tang Ao doesn't put these people in his eyes. Arrogant, domineering. Tang Ao's voice wasn't loud, but it was definitely not soft. These people don't put these people in my eyes. How arrogant and domineering is this? A martial artist at the 5th level of the body refinement realm could actually say such words when facing a group of martial artists who were 1 or 2 levels stronger than him. Enough, Scram. Although Lin Dongnan was using his essence to prolong Chu Feng's life, his thunderous voice still exploded in everyone's ears. Merely, at this moment, it was clear that Lin Dongnan's words did not possess that much of a deterrent force. Especially after the crowd saw Chu Feng's appearance of exhaling more than he inhaled, and his appearance of being on the verge of death. Even Ding Peng took a step forward and began to oppress Tang Ao. If he had a choice, Tang Ao really did not want to face an expert like Ding Peng in this current situation. After executing the 7 kills Divine Dao, although Tang Ao's primordial energy was not depleted, Tang Ao only had about 50% of his primordial energy left. If Tang Ao was at his peak, Tang Ao would not be afraid of Ding Peng. But now, not only did he have to face Ding Peng, but he also had to deal with a group of other warriors. Tang Ao could not bear it. Ding Peng stepped down. Just as Ding Peng was about to attack Tang Ao, a voice came from afar. Hearing this voice, a trace of surprise flashed through Ding Peng's eyes. However, Ding Peng really did not make any further movements and stepped back. It seemed that this person's words were even more effective than Ho Tianxi's. Ho Tianxi naturally heard this voice too. Immediately, his face lit up with joy. Big brother Tianlin, quickly kill this person for me. The person who came was none other than Ho Tianxi's older brother, Ho Tianlin. If Ho Tianxi represented the 6th level of the body refinement realm, then Ho Tianlin represented the 8th level of the body refinement realm. Like Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin was also a monstrously talented martial artist. Furthermore, compared to Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin was even more outstanding. Tang Ao raised his head and saw a young man, wearing clothes whiter than snow, standing on a treetop. With just a single glance from afar, Tang Ao knew that this person was not easy to deal with. Or perhaps, it could be said that the current him was simply not a match for this person. If one were to say that Ding Peng's aura, which was as steady as a boulder, was already considered to be outstanding amongst the 8th level of the body refining realm, then the faintly discernible aura of this white-clothed man could be considered to be the strongest amongst the outstanding. Chapter 1289. Moreover, Lin Dongnan and Ho Tianlin had fought 3 times. Out of the 3 battles, 2 draws and 1 loss. The 1 loss wasn't Lin Dongnan's victory, but Lin Dongnan's defeat. However, not many people knew about this, and unlike Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin never boasted about his achievements. Therefore, many people knew that Ho Tianlin was strong, but almost no one knew exactly how strong he was. If Ho Tianlin had insisted on killing Tang Ao might not have escaped death today. Lin Dongnan had a good impression of Tang Ao, so Lin Dongnan didn't want Tang Ao to be obliterated before he could grow. But in today's situation, even Lin Dongnan couldn't think of a way for Tang Ao to survive. Big brother, Ho Tianxi said again when Ho Tianlin didn't move. However, before Ho Tianxi could finish, Ho Tianlin waved his hand. You're in the wrong today. Lin Dongnan breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Ho Tianlin's words. Zhongshan and Situ Qianqian also breathed a sigh of relief. Ho Tianlin's name was well known in the Hidden Dragon Crypt. Ho Yaoying and Lin Dongnan had both lost to Cold Moon when the Qin-Yin alliance was formed. However, only Cold Moon and Ho Tianlin knew that Ho Tianlin had defeated Cold Moon by half a move. However, Ho Tianlin wasn't interested in becoming the leader of the Qin-Yin alliance, so he immediately left the Qin-Yin alliance and stayed in the Evergreen Valley. Ho Tianlin, who had disappeared for several years, didn't expect to appear at this time. Situ Qianqian had just calmed down when Ho Tianlin said, "Even if my second brother is in the wrong, I should be the one to teach him a lesson. So you deserve to die." Ho Tianlin's tone was calm and indifferent. It was as if he wanted Tang Ao dead, so Tang Ao had to die. However, no one doubted Ho Tianlin's domineering tone. Even Tang Ao completely believed that he was no match for Ho Tianlin. Even if he used all his skills, he still wouldn't be a match for Ho Tianlin. When Tang Ao saw Ho Tianlin, he was reminded of Dongswini from the 7 Kills sect. Ho Tianlin was just like Dongswini. Both exuded an unquestionable and powerful aura. This kind of aura was not something that could be faked. A person with such a powerful aura was definitely not a weakling. However, Tang Ao wasn't someone who would easily accept his fate. Even if Tang Ao wasn't Ho Tianlin's opponent, Tang Ao felt that if he wanted to leave, Ho Tianlin wouldn't be able to stop him. My cultivation is 3 levels higher than yours, so I won't bully you. As long as you can take one move from me, I'll let this matter rest. While Tang Ao was pondering, Ho Tianlin spoke coldly again. I'll take it. Everyone, including Ho Tianlin himself, didn't expect that Tang Ao would agree to his proposal without even thinking about it. Therefore, the same thoughts surfaced in everyone's mind. Did Tang Ao really want to die? Although no one believed that Tang Ao could survive Ho Tianlin's appearance, if Lin Dongnan was willing to help, Tang Ao might not necessarily die. Moreover, judging from Lin Dongnan's attitude toward Tang Ao, it was obvious that he would help Tang Ao. However, no one knew that Lin Dongnan was no longer a match for Ho Tianlin. However, Lin Dongnan didn't tell anyone about this, and Ho Tianlin didn't care to show off his battle achievements either. In Ho Tianlin's opinion, defeating Lin Dongnan wasn't something to be proud of. What do you think, Deputy Chief Lin? Ho Tianlin asked Lin Dongnan after a moment of confusion. Ho Tianlin wasn't afraid of anyone present. The reason why he asked Lin Dongnan was because he was giving Lin Dongnan face. A year ago, Lin Dongnan wasn't a match for him. Now, Lin Dongnan probably wasn't even qualified to fight him. Chapter 1290. Tang Ao could tell that Ho Tianlin's cultivation was at the peak of the 8th level of the body refining realm. But Tang Ao knew that Ho Tianlin belonged to the category of monstrous geniuses, just like him. They couldn't use cultivation to measure their true battle prowess. But right now, Tang Ao didn't want to fight to the death with Ho Tianlin. If he fought with Ho Tianlin in his current state, Tang Ao would really be looking to die. Right now, Tang Ao had to consider how to take Ho Tianlin's attack. As for whether Ho Tianlin would regret and kill him if he took Ho Tianlin's attack with all his strength, Tang Ao didn't think so. People like Ho Tianlin had their own pride. If he couldn't kill Tang Ao in one strike, he definitely wouldn't attack again. Although he might not give up on killing him, Tang Ao knew that as long as he could take one strike, he would be fine. Right now, what Tang Ao needed the most was time and cultivation resources. Given a bit more time, Tang Ao could quickly restore his cultivation to the 9th level of the body refining realm, or even the origin martial realm. At that time, Tang Ao could really do whatever he wanted in the hidden dragon caves. But right now, whether it was time or cultivation resources, Tang Ao had a hard time getting them. The place with the most cultivation resources in the hidden dragon cave was the Evergreen Valley. Therefore, Tang Ao was prepared to immediately head to the Evergreen Valley once this matter was settled. No power, no dignity. That was the iron rule of the world of martial artists. During this time, Tang Ao felt this iron rule more and more clearly. Taking a deep breath, Tang Ao said calmly, "Please enlighten me, Brother Ho." "All right, as long as you can take one of my attacks, then this matter is over. This matter ends here. If you can't handle it, I won't hold back either," Ho Tianlin said as he leaped down from the treetop. His steps were frighteningly light, and when he landed on the ground, there was no sound at all. Ever since Lin Dongnan had lost to Ho Tianlin a year ago, he'd been cultivating diligently for the past year. However, after meeting Ho Tianlin, Lin Dongnan realized that not only had he failed to close the gap between him and Ho Tianlin, it had actually grown wider. Lin Dongnan secretly sighed in his heart. Could it be that the Evergreen Valley really trained people like this? Or could it be that there was some secret in Evergreen Valley that he didn't know? However, Lin Dongnan and Tang Ao were different. Tang Ao had never been to Evergreen Valley, but Lin Dongnan had been to Evergreen Valley countless times. However, Evergreen Valley was too vast, and there were countless poisonous insects, ferocious beasts, and traps. Lin Dongnan did not dare to go too deep. The martial artists of the Hidden Dragon Crypt divided the Evergreen Valley into 3 regions: the outer region, the middle region, and the depths of the Evergreen Valley. Among these 3 regions, the outer region of Evergreen Valley was managed by 12 factions. Members of each alliance could only enter the region of their faction to search for rare treasures. The Qing Yun alliance that Tang Ao belonged to controlled the 9th region of the outer region. Compared to the other regions, the 9th region was much more desolate. Moreover, because the Qing Yun alliance was weaker, many beasts migrated to the 9th region to survive. This made it even more difficult for members of the Qing Yun alliance to enter Evergreen Valley to collect spiritual materials. Chapter 1291. Countless battles took place in the Hidden Dragon Crypt every day. Even cultivators belonging to the same alliance could easily have conflicts over some benefits. After all, in the Hidden Dragon Crypt, cultivation and resources were always the most important. Other things could only be imagined and felt extravagant. After releasing his Yuan Qi, Ho Tianlin didn't immediately attack Tang Ao. Ho Tianlin seemed to want to use this shocking aura to make Tang Ao feel fear, but he was disappointed. Tang Ao's eyes remained calm from beginning to end. It was as if Ho Tianlin's terrifying Yuan Qi wasn't even worth mentioning in front of Tang Ao. However, Ho Tianlin didn't believe that was the case. Ho Tianlin knew that there were several old guys in the Hidden Dragon Crypt whose cultivation was higher than his, not to mention outside the Hidden Dragon Crypt. However, Ho Tianlin didn't think that Tang Ao was qualified to come into contact with people of this level. Therefore, Ho Tianlin concluded that Tang Ao's current calmness was a forced act. In Tang Ao's heart, he was probably already terrified. It was just that Tang Ao's expression made Ho Tianlin very uncomfortable. So after gathering his Yuan Qi, Ho Tianlin suddenly changed his hand seal. Ho Tianlin's hand seals changed abruptly. Then, a wisp of mist surrounded Ho Tianlin and emitted out. This scene was very familiar to Tang Ao, as Ho Tianxi had just used it. However, compared to Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin's sunflower water mysterious skill was even more overbearing. At the same time that Ho Tianlin used the sunflower water mysterious skill, everyone felt the temperature of the space suddenly drop a lot. Ho Tianxi was the most shocked to see this scene. Originally, in the Qing Yun alliance, and even in the Hidden Dragon Crypt, he was the first person to cultivate the sunflower water mysterious skill. His older brother, Ho Tianlin, had cultivated it before, but he didn't succeed. Even a year ago, Ho Tianxi was sure that his brother didn't know the sunflower water mysterious skill. But now, Ho Tianlin's use of the sunflower water mysterious skill was even more skillful than his. Clearly, in this year, his brother had not only made great progress in cultivation, but also mastered the sunflower water mysterious skill. Although the two of them were blood brothers, this kind of thing still made Ho Tianxi very uncomfortable. However, Ho Tianxi did not dare to express such emotions. This was the dragon subduing crypt. Even kinship was very fragile in this place. Here, strength was the most important thing. Powerful martial artists could do whatever they wanted here, but for weak martial artists, surviving here was simply a kind of torture. It was also because he understood this principle that Ho Tianxi had been training very hard. Otherwise, he wouldn't have achieved what he had today just by relying on his martial arts talent. However, after witnessing Ho Tianlin's strength, Ho Tianxi couldn't help but feel dissatisfied with his own cultivation speed. Ho Tianlin was only 3 years older than him, but Ho Tianlin was already at the peak of the 8th level of the body refining realm, while he was only at the 6th level. If he was at the 8th level of the body refining realm, he would not have been humiliated by Tang Ao in the past few days. For a small shrimp like Tang Ao, he could casually kill him with a wave of his hand. Although he was thinking this, Ho Tianxi's soul remembrance was still completely focused on Tang Ao and Ho Tianlin. This was because in the battle with Tang Ao, there was one thing that Ho Tianxi could not understand. What kind of method did Tang Ao use? When the icicle exploded, Tang Ao actually didn't die from the explosion. Besides observing Tang Ao, Ho Tianxi was also observing Ho Tianlin. Although Ho Tianxi cultivated the sunflower water mysterious skill, it was still an incomplete technique. Although he had barely succeeded in cultivating it, there were still many problems. Chapter 1292. The cold wind howled, and the already cold dragon, subduing caves, became even colder. The battle between Tang Ao, who was at the 5th level of the body refining realm, and Ho Tianlin, who was at the 8th level of the body refining realm, could be said to have no suspense. Ho Tianlin was different from his younger brother, Ho Tianxi. In the dragon's subduing caves, he had fought very few times. Very few martial artists had seen him fight, but everyone's evaluation of his strength was unusually high. Ever since Ho Tianxi started cultivating, he had always swept away martial artists of the same level. But in Ho Tianxi's battles, there had been draws and even defeats. Although the ones who defeated Ho Tianxi were warriors with higher cultivation than him, Ho Tianxi was still defeated in the end. But his older brother, Ho Tianlin, was different. Ever since he started cultivating, Ho Tianlin had never been defeated. It was also because of this that everyone looked at Tang Ao with pity in their eyes. Tang Ao was also considered a very strong martial artist. When he was at the 5th level of the body refining realm, he could jump levels to defeat a genius like Ho Tianxi. But it was a pity that geniuses had short lives. Tang Ao had just begun to show his talent when he encountered a terrifying opponent like Ho Tianlin. Even if it had been Lin Dongnan against Tang Ao, everyone still thought that Tang Ao might have had a chance of survival. But against Ho Tianlin, Tang Ao's chances of survival were very slim. So slim that they didn't exist at all. Ice crystals began to appear behind Ho Tianlin, as if they were formed by shining stars. These stars contained a terrifying power, a power that could destroy everything. However, even so, Tang Ao's expression was still as calm as a pool of still water. Or rather, against an opponent like Ho Tianlin, Tang Ao didn't have any confidence even if he could only take one move from him. So Tang Ao was probably already indifferent to life and death. Do you have any last words? It's best to keep them short. As he used the sunflower mysterious technique, Ho Tianlin asked Tang Ao calmly. Ho Tianlin rarely asked questions like this, but when he did, it meant that someone was going to die. And the person who was going to die this time was obviously Tang Ao. If you have any last words, I would be interested to hear them. To everyone's surprise, when Tang Ao opened his mouth, Tang Ao actually said such a sentence. If you have any last words, I'm interested to hear them. Was he still being stubborn in the face of death? Or was he trying to regain some dignity before he died? Hearing Tang Ao's words, Ho Tianlin didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed. He wasn't someone who got angry easily, especially when it came to dead people. Although Tang Ao was still alive, in Ho Tianlin's eyes, Tang Ao was already a dead man. Everyone dies one day, and some people might need a little help. Ho Tianlin couldn't help but think of this sentence. Maybe Tang Ao was this kind of person. Ho Tianlin didn't rush to make a move. It wasn't that Ho Tianlin didn't want to make a move, but during the battle between Tang Ao and his younger brother, Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin saw with his own eyes that Tang Ao had used some kind of technique to block Ho Tianxi's sunflower mysterious art. Ho Tianlin was different from Ho Tianxi. A year ago, he found the complete sunflower mysterious technique in the Evergreen Valley. He didn't tell anyone about this because he knew how powerful it was after cultivating the sunflower water mysterious art. On the Phasian continent, the strongest cultivator could only reach the origin martial realm. But according to the records of the sunflower mysterious technique, as long as one mastered it, they would at least reach the celestial realm. Chapter 1293. This secret made Ho Tianlin find it hard to believe. It was that he obtained a soul remembrance scroll from the Qing Yun Alliance's Alliance Leaders Medallion. After this scroll was imprinted in Ho Tianlin's mind, the Qing Yun Medallion became an ordinary keepsake. From this soul remembrance scroll, Ho Tianlin learned about the outside world. He learned that the so-called origin martial realm experts were only ants among ants in the outside world. At the same time, Ho Tianlin also learned that this world didn't only have Yuan Qi. There was also spiritual energy that was hundreds of times stronger than Yuan Qi. Above spiritual energy, There is also the existence of immortal spiritual energy. Through this soul remembrance scroll, Ho Tianlin entered deep into Evergreen Valley and obtained the complete sunflower water mysterious technique. After cultivating the sunflower water mysterious technique, Ho Tianlin was even more certain of the things recorded in the scroll. Thus, when he saw what method Tang Ao used to block the sunflower water mysterious technique, Ho Tianlin was very curious. Using the excuse of avenging Ho Tianxi, he found Tang Ao. Compared to Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin didn't have any thoughts of being superior. In Ho Tianlin's opinion, if he could obtain the soul remembrance scroll, then other people could also obtain it. Moreover, Ho Tianlin guessed that Tang Ao was very likely such a person. Thus, Ho Tianlin didn't rush to attack. He was preparing for Tang Ao. He wanted to see if Tang Ao really had some trump card. However, what disappointed Ho Tianlin was that Tang Ao really seemed to be a reckless idiot who didn't care about his life. Facing his terrifying pressure, Tang Ao was completely indifferent. Tang Ao was able to cultivate to the 5th stage of the body, refining realm at such a young age. Furthermore, he was able to defeat his younger brother Ho Tianxi at the 5th stage of the body, refining realm. Ho Tianlin didn't believe that Tang Ao didn't have any trump cards. However, Ho Tianlin didn't understand why Tang Ao didn't plan on using his trump card, even when facing such a life and death crisis. Or was it because he was too strong and Tang Ao knew that even if he used his trump card, he still wouldn't be his opponent? So Tang Ao chose to calmly accept death? All of these thoughts seemed complicated, but in reality, Ho Tianlin had gone through them in the blink of an eye. Ho Tianlin was puzzled, and so was Tang Ao. Tang Ao couldn't understand why Ho Tianlin would need so much time to prepare for a mere 5th-level body, refining realm martial artist like him. Although it was said that even a lion would use its full strength to catch a rabbit, the feeling that Ho Tianlin gave Tang Ao right now was that Tang Ao, was not a martial artist in the 5th level of the body refinement realm, but a martial artist in the 5th level of the origin realm. Therefore, Ho Tianlin had to give it his all in this attack. Looking at Ho Tianlin's rising aura, Tang Ao hesitated. Should he take Ho Tianlin's attack head-on, or should he summon the wind thunder dark cloud to escape? But at this moment, Tang Ao's eyes narrowed, and the heavenly polar eyes were instantly released. A bright azure light flashed in Tang Ao's eyes. However, this azure light was too special. It couldn't be seen with the naked eye and couldn't be sensed with soul remembrance. Only martial artists with other pupils would be able to see it. But even so, everyone could still see the 36 snow patterns in Tang Ao's eyes. But at this moment, everyone was focused on Ho Tianlin's heavenly polar halberd. They didn't have time to observe Tang Ao's changes. Compared to Ho Tianxi's ice all, Ho Tianlin's heavenly polar halberd was more than 100 times stronger. The terrifying aura emitted from the heavenly polar halberd also caused people to tremble. The heavy pressure even made some of the weaker martial artists feel suffocated. Chapter 1294. Although Tang Ao and Ho Tianlin were both members of the Qing-Yin Alliance, Tang Ao had run into Ho Tianlin's hands. Ho Tianlin wouldn't care about the friendship of the Qing-Yin Alliance at all. Zhongshan was very optimistic about Tang Ao. As long as Tang Ao could grow up smoothly, he would definitely be stronger than Ho Tianlin. As for Ho Tianxi, he wasn't even worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as Tang Ao. Unfortunately, Tang Ao wouldn't have the chance to grow up. After Ho Tianlin's attack, Tang Ao would die without a doubt. Just as Zhongshan was thinking this, Ho Tianlin attacked. Boom! Everyone heard an explosion of energy in the air. Soon after, a bone-chilling ice storm suddenly erupted. A layer of white frost appeared on the eyebrows of the surrounding martial artists. The short plants on the ground were also instantly frozen. Immediately after, the ice storm suddenly shook and shattered into pieces of ice. Meanwhile, the halberd in the center of the ice storm was like an angry ice dragon that pounced towards Tang Ao. The terrifying aura seemed to want to tear Tang Ao to pieces. Rumble, kacha-kacha. A wave of chaotic energy flew everywhere. Tang Ao's figure was instantly engulfed by this terrifying cold air. When everyone's soul remembrance probed, they could only feel a wave of incomparably violent energy attacks. As for Tang Ao, they couldn't even see a shadow. Was Tang Ao blown to smithereens? A martial artist who was resisting the incoming ice storm asked his companions around him. I don't know. However, my soul remembrance can't detect Tang Ao. He's probably dead. AI. After a year, young Master Tian Lin has actually gotten this strong? This Tang Ao is really wronged. He finally managed to show his talent, but in the end, he fell into young Master Tian Lin's hands. Listening to everyone's discussion, Situ Qianqian also used her soul remembrance to probe twice. Her tears couldn't help but flow out. Situ Qianqian only felt that it was extremely unfair. In this world, good people did not live long, while scourges lasted for thousands of years. Tang Ao was such a good person. How could he die like this? Thinking of this, Situ Qianqian was about to rush into the ice storm. Fortunately, Zhongshan had been paying attention to her. Hence, Situ Qianqian had just taken a step when Zhongshan pulled her back. Girl, don't you want to live anymore? Zhongshan roared in exasperation. Regarding Tang Ao's matter, Zhongshan also felt very regretful. But what could he do? Even an ordinary 8th level body, refining realm martial artist, might not be able to withstand Ho Tianlin's attacks, let alone a mere 5th level body, refining realm martial artist like Tang Ao. If Tang Ao had reached the 8th level of the body refining realm before fighting with Ho Tianlin, the outcome would have been uncertain. But the difference between Tang Ao and Ho Tianlin was just too great. Therefore, Tang Ao's chances of survival were slim. The reason they felt that Tang Ao had a chance of survival was because Tang Ao had previously created many miracles. Therefore, even at this time, everyone still had a sliver of hope that Tang Ao could miraculously survive. However, the Yuan Qi and Tang Ao and Ho Tianlin's battle was still incomparably chaotic, so there was no way to know what the current situation was. Ooh, a figure suddenly jumped out of the ice storm. This person's clothes were whiter than snow, and he had one hand behind his back. It was Ho Tianlin. After Ho Tianlin jumped out of the ice storm, he waved his hand, and the chaotic Yuan Qi slowly dissipated like a tornado. Everyone's gazes immediately looked towards where Tang Ao had been standing. However, they didn't see Tang Ao, only an enormous icicle. Kacha-kacha. Chapter 1295. How was it? After the ice pillar shattered, Tang Ao calmly spat out these two words. Although Tang Ao's voice wasn't loud, these two words were abnormally clear in everyone's ears. Ho Tianlin didn't speak for a long time. Just now, his soul remembrance had been focused on Tang Ao, so when Tang Ao had used heavenly polar pupils, Ho Tianlin had noticed some clues. However, Ho Tianlin didn't know that such a heaven-defying existence like heavenly polar pupils existed, so he couldn't tell how Tang Ao had managed to block his attack. Since you were able to block one of my attacks, I'll naturally forget about this matter. Let's go. After Ho Tianlin finished speaking, he prepared to leave in the opposite direction. Although Ho Tianxi still wanted to kill Tang Ao, he didn't dare go against Ho Tianlin's wishes right now. If it was a year ago, his father Ho Yaoying and Ho Tianlin's battle would have been evenly matched. Now, however, Ho Tianxi was certain that his father was no longer his brother's opponent. Wait, just as Ho Tianlin was about to leave, he was stopped by Tang Ao. Tang Ao's words also caused everyone to be stunned. He had just barely managed to keep his life. Was Tang Ao really not afraid of death? This Tang will remember today's events. In the future, I will definitely come to Evergreen Valley to visit everyone. Tang Ao's tone was very calm. It was as if Tang Ao had truly become friends with Ho Tianlin and the others through this matter. Therefore, Tang Ao was going to visit Evergreen Valley's encampment in the future. However, none of the warriors present were stupid, so they naturally understood the meaning behind Tang Ao's words. Of course, Tang Ao wasn't going to visit Ho Tianlin. Instead, he was saying that he would definitely return the humiliation he had suffered today. Oh, Ho Tianlin also stopped in his tracks with great interest. He casually smiled and said, "I hope you will come." After saying this, Ho Tianlin didn't stay any longer and directly walked into the distance. Ho Tianlin hadn't been able to kill Tang Ao in a single strike. Although he had held back on purpose, he was an 8th-level body refining realm martial artist, and he had been unable to kill a 5th-level body refining realm martial artist in a single strike. Ho Tianlin felt that it was extremely humiliating. Therefore, he didn't have the face to continue staying here. Furthermore, Ho Tianlin had left Evergreen Valley to look for Ho Tianxi. A month later, the outskirts of the Hidden Dragon Crypt's 12 forces would be redistributed. Every time the territory was divided, it would be the martial artists of the body refining realm between the 5th and 7th levels of the various factions who went up to compete. Furthermore, in the remembrance scroll that Ho Tianlin had obtained, there was a treasure hidden somewhere in the 1st region. Therefore, Ho Tianlin hoped that this time, his younger brother would be able to suppress his peers and obtain 1st place in the competition. Then, he could justifiably go to the 1st region to retrieve that treasure. Previously, Ho Tianlin hadn't held much hope. However, after seeing Tang Ao this time, Ho Tianlin felt that this time, the Qing Yun Alliance still had the ability to fight for 1st place. At this moment, Tang Ao naturally didn't know what Ho Tianlin was thinking. Otherwise, Tang Ao would definitely be shocked at how terrifying a person's calculations could be. Almost everything was within Ho Tianlin's calculations. At this time, Tang Ao was powerlessly lying on the ground to rest. Even though Tang Ao was in a very sorry state, none of the surrounding martial artists laughed at Tang Ao. Chapter 1296. You're quite lucky today. Here's a bottle of essence nurturing pellets for you. Cultivate properly in the future and avoid contact with brother Ho Tianlin as much as possible. Chu Feng has been poisoned quite badly. I'm going to bring him back to the Qing Yun Alliance's encampment right now. After speaking with Tang Ao, Lin Dongnan gave instructions to the others. Then, he brought Chu Feng and flew towards the Qing Yun Alliance's encampment. Chu Feng was a child Lin Dongnan had adopted in the Dragon Subduing Crypt. Chu Feng's abilities were all imparted to him by Lin Dongnan. Although the two of them weren't father and son, Lin Dongnan had always treated Chu Feng as if he were his own son. Although Tang Ao felt that Lin Dongnan's actions were a bit disloyal, Tang Ao didn't think too much about it. Everyone had their own difficulties. Since Lin Dongnan was willing to stand up for him, he would remember Lin Dongnan's favor. Lin Dongnan being unwilling to stand up for him was fine too. However, Lin Dongnan gave him a bottle of essence nurturing pellets in the end. It could be said that he was doing him quite a favor. What was most lacking in the Dragon Subduing Crypt were cultivation resources. This was especially true for Tang Ao right now. He craved cultivation resources the most. After resting on the ground for a while, Tang Ao also sat up. Situ Qianqian also walked over when she saw Tang Ao stand up. Tang Ao had seen Situ Qianqian's actions when he was fighting against Ho Tianlin. Tang Ao felt that this young girl was quite decent. After a moment of consideration, Tang Ao took out a blank jade slip. Then, Tang Ao recorded the rank 1 spirit pellets concocted by the Shinong Emperor on this jade slip. Little sister Qianqian, this is for you. After Situ Qianqian came to Tang Ao's side, Tang Ao handed over the jade slip. Situ Qianqian was a little confused. After receiving the jade strip, she asked doubtfully, "Senior brother Tang Ao, what is this?" "This is the heart of alchemy." Heavens, is this a jade strip that records alchemy techniques? Tang Ao had not yet finished his introduction when Situ Qianqian exclaimed. After saying that, Situ Qianqian carefully looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, Situ Qianqian felt relieved. Her big watery eyes were filled with anticipation as she looked at Tang Ao. Yes, This is an alchemy scroll for refining a Tier 1 spirit pill. Situ Qianqian was overjoyed when she heard Tang Ao admit it. Big brother Tang Ao, how many stars does this alchemy scroll belong to? Situ Qianqian had long wanted to learn alchemy, but the alchemists in the Qingyun Alliance were all in the Qingyun Alliance's encampment. Usually, Situ Qianqian did not have the opportunity to learn alchemy. Also, Big brother Tang Ao, are you an alchemist? How many stars are you in alchemy? Tang Ao did not know whether to laugh or cry at Situ Qianqian's question. After being in the Flying Star Continent for such a long time, Tang Ao had already figured out the classification of alchemists in the Flying Star Continent. The Tier 1 Spirit Pill Masters in the Black-Yellow Continent were divided into 9 stars. In other words, the strongest 9-star alchemist here would only be a slightly more powerful Tier 1 Spirit Pill Master in the Black-Yellow Continent. As for Tang Ao, he was a peak Tier 6 Spirit Pill Master. If he were to be classified by stars, Tang Ao did not know what star rank he would be. While Tang Ao was thinking, Situ Qianqian exclaimed again, "Oh my God, senior brother Tang Ao, this jade slip actually records the refining method of the 9-star spirit pill, the origin martial pill. With this jade slip, I might be able to become a 9-star alchemist." After saying that, Situ Qianqian seemed to have thought of something and returned the jade slip to Tang Ao. "Senior brother Tang Ao, this jade slip is too precious. I cannot take it." Chapter 1297. Tang Ao said it very casually, but Situ Qianqian was stunned by the news from Tang Ao's mouth. Situ Qianqian even suspected that she had heard wrong just now. "Senior brother Tang Ao, you said you're a 9-star alchemist?" Situ Qianqian didn't think that Tang Ao was speaking again, but the news was too shocking, so Situ Qianqian couldn't accept it for a while. Whether it was in the Hidden Dragon Crypt or on the Phasian continent, alchemists were the target of countless people. Every alchemist had a terrifying network and financial resources, especially those who had been famous for a long time. Especially those alchemists who had been famous for a long time, as long as they made a sound, there would be countless martial artists willing to serve them. Therefore, alchemists were a symbol of wealth and status. However, Situ Qianqian didn't want to become an alchemist because of this. The reason why Situ Qianqian wanted to learn alchemy was entirely because she was interested in various medicinal herbs, and more importantly, she wanted to help the people in Qingyun Village. It was just that although there was an alchemist in the Qingyun Union, that alchemist was only a 4-star alchemist, barely able to refine a middle-grade essence cultivating pill. Even so, this alchemist was closely guarded by the Qingyun Union. Usually, he would refine pills in the Qingyun Union and rarely walked outside. In this way, even if Situ Qianqian wanted to learn alchemy, there was no place for her to learn alchemy. Originally, Situ Qianqian almost gave up the idea of learning alchemy, but Situ Qianqian never expected that she would actually meet Tang Ao at this time. "Keep this jade slip well. After we repel the beast tide, I will teach you how to refine pills." However, Tang Ao said this with some difficulty. Now, Tang Ao did have a lot of spiritual herbs on him, but the grade of these spiritual herbs on Tang Ao was too high. As these spiritual herbs were all collected by Tang Ao in the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm, the lowest grade of these spiritual herbs were level 5 spiritual herbs. It was impossible for Situ Qianqian to refine pills with such spiritual herbs. Of course, this was not because Tang Ao was reluctant to part with these spirit herbs, but because the higher the grade of the spirit herbs, the harder it was to refine and condense them into pills. Therefore, even if it was Tang Ao, before his cultivation level increased, he could not use high-grade spirit herbs to refine pills. "Senior brother Tang Ao, what's wrong?" Situ Qianqian asked anxiously when she saw Tang Ao smile bitterly. Situ Qianqian really wanted to learn alchemy, but Situ Qianqian hadn't known Tang Ao for long, so Situ Qianqian was worried that Tang Ao wouldn't be willing to teach her. After all, alchemists were very rare on the Flying Star Continent, and alchemists who could refine the vitality-enhancing pill were even more distinguished. I don't have any spirit herbs on me right now. Can I get them in this place? Tang Ao knew that there were many treasures in the Evergreen Valley, but he didn't know if there were any spiritual herbs in the Evergreen Valley. Or rather, he didn't know if there were any spiritual herbs in the 9th district of the Evergreen Valley. After all, only the 9th district was under the jurisdiction of the Qingyun League. As for the other places, Tang Ao most likely wouldn't be able to go. If it's about spirit herbs, there are many in Long Green Valley. Moreover, there are some medicinal fields in Qingyun Village, and there are some very low-grade spirit herbs planted there. At first, Situ Qianqian thought that it was a big problem. If it was just spirit herbs, it would be easy to solve. Moreover, Situ Qianqian heard that there were several spirit herb gardens in the 9th district of Long Green Valley. However, the spirit herbs in the spirit herb gardens had to be exchanged with spiritual materials. Chapter 1298. In a place like the Flying Star Continent, the top martial artists were only at the Origin Realm. So as long as Tang Ao could recover his cultivation to the 9th level of the body refining realm, Tang Ao could do whatever he wanted here. But while the idea was beautiful, reality was cruel. Tang Ao had been here for so long, and he had only raised his cultivation to the 5th level of the body refining realm. As for the 9th level of the body refining realm, Tang Ao did not know when he would be able to reach it. But if Tang Ao found enough spirit medicine in Evergreen Valley, that would be a different story. As long as he found spirit medicine, Tang Ao could turn spirit grass into medicinal pills in minutes. In the Hidden Dragon Caves, because of the illusion flowers, almost all the martial artists were desperately cultivating to raise their cultivation and dispel the illusion flower poison at the same time. This caused the spiritual qi in the Hidden Dragon Caves to be abnormally thin. Now, in Qingyun Village, Tang Ao was very dissatisfied with the spiritual qi here. But although the spiritual qi here was thin, for some reason, the illusion flowers that covered the Hidden Dragon Caves were very rare here. Tang Ao and Situ Qianqian walked in Qingyun Village, looking around at this very simple village. If not for the fact that it was in the Hidden Dragon Caves, it would be a paradise. But because it was in the dangerous Hidden Dragon Caves, this simple village often had to face the test of survival. At this time, the Beast Tide had basically retreated. For Qingyun Village, the Beast Tide was a disaster, but it was also a fortune. Because in the Beast Tide, countless people would die, and, similarly, countless monsters would be killed. Most of the martial artists in Qingyun Village are very weak or physically disabled martial artists, and even some of them are ordinary people who have never cultivated. In the beginning, Tang Ao had felt puzzled. How were these people who could not cultivate dealing with the phantom flower poison? Later on, Tang Ao used his skypolarity eyes to observe several of them. Tang Ao discovered something interesting. As these people had never cultivated before, their bodies did not possess any energy at all. Thus, the phantom flower poison could not fuse with their bodies at all. This discovery made Tang Ao sigh for a long time. The illusion flower poison in the Hidden Dragon Crypt had given countless cultivators headaches, but actually had no effect on ordinary people. Indeed, fate made a fool out of people. If it was any other place, it would be fine to be an ordinary person, but in the Hidden Dragon Crypt where danger lurked everywhere, all kinds of snakes, insects, rats, ants, birds, and beasts were a great threat to ordinary people. Although there were martial artists stationed in Qingyun's village for a long time. However, this beast tide had caused many innocent villagers to lose their lives. Moreover, as the encampment of the Qingyun Alliance and the Qingyun village were both near Evergreen Valley, they were often attacked by wild beasts. As for the beast tide, it happened from time to time. Roar! As Tang Ao and Situ Qianqian were talking, another terrifying beast roar came from afar. After hearing the shocking beast roar, Situ Qianqian's expression changed. Why is there still such a strong monster in the village at this time? At this time, the villagers who had just evacuated had returned. Originally, they thought that there were only a few weak monsters left in the village. They did not expect things to turn out like this. Let's go and take a look. Tang Ao also knew the seriousness of the situation. At this time, the martial artist that Lin Dongnan had brought had already returned, and Zhongshan and the others who were originally stationed in Qingyun village had also suffered heavy casualties. Chapter 1299. Tang Ao and Sidu Qianqian were extremely fast, and in a short while they arrived at the place where the beast roar had come from. Before they even got close, Tang Ao heard a miserable cry from the crowd. Tang Ao swept out with his sole remembrance and found a striped leopard at the center of the crowd. This striped leopard was at the 7th level of the body refinement realm. Logically speaking, such a powerful demonic beast should have been eradicated by Lin Dongnan and the others when they were cleaning up the battlefield. However, for some reason, this striped leopard still appeared here. Moreover, the striped leopard's aura was extremely powerful. There were no wounds on its body, and it was clearly at its peak condition. When Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept over, he just happened to see the striped leopard abruptly smash the head of a body refinement realm 5th level martial artist like a watermelon. The scene was abnormally terrifying. A bloody mist filled the air, and after the martial artist fell to the ground, white and red flowed over the ground. This terrifying scene caused the surrounding ordinary villagers to scream in fear. They really wanted to immediately run away. However, the extreme fright caused their legs to feel as heavy as lead, and they couldn't even lift their legs. They could only watch in despair as the striped leopard reaped their lives. Everyone retreat. At this moment, Zhongshan heard the news and rushed over. Zhongshan's originally broken left arm had already been treated. According to Situ Qianqian, Zhongshan's left arm had been bitten off by a gray-furred monster. Moreover, that gray-furred monster had bitten off Zhongshan's left arm and swallowed it on the spot. So Zhongshan had no chance of reconnecting his left arm. After losing an arm, Zhongshan's fighting strength was greatly reduced. However, after hearing the commotion, Zhongshan immediately rushed over. Uncle Zhongshan, 6th brother, was killed by a striped leopard. Seeing Zhongshan come over, a martial artist immediately came up and said, including Situ Qianqian, there were only 3 martial artists left to guard Qingyun village. Brother Zhongshan, tell everyone to step back. We will slowly think of a way to deal with this leopard. At this time, Tang Ao also squeezed through the crowd and came in front of Zhongshan. Although Tang Ao wanted to coolly say that he could deal with this striped leopard, with Tang Ao's current condition, he knew that he would be courting death if he were to deal with this kind of demonic beast that was known for its speed and explosive power. All of us are injured to varying degrees. Right now, we are no match for this beast. The best way is to lure it out, Zhongshan said after a moment of silence. As Tang Ao and the others appeared, the striped leopard sensed the aura of Tang Ao and the others and did not attack the surrounding villagers. Instead, it looked at Tang Ao and the others warily. Facing the ferocious eyes of the striped leopard, Sidu Qianqian felt a little guilty and unconsciously moved closer to Tang Ao. Sidu Qianqian was not a martial artist that excelled in combat. Because she had always been guarding Qingyun village, she usually only dealt with some ordinary demonic beasts. For a demonic beast like the striped leopard that was at the 7th level of the body, refining realm, this was the first time Situ Qianqian had faced it. Moreover, every time they fought with demonic beasts, the companions that were guarding Qingyun village would work together to deal with the demonic beasts. However, at this time, there were only 3 people left from the original 10. Moreover, Uncle Zhongshan, who had always been protecting them, had also lost an arm in this battle. Right now, his condition was very bad. If Tang Ao wasn't here at this moment, Situ Qianqian thought in her heart, maybe the Qingyun village would become history under the claws of this leopard. Chapter 1300. Under Ho Tianlin's attack, Tang Ao being able to survive could already be said to be a miracle. Although Situ Qianqian didn't know the extent of Tang Ao's injuries, Situ Qianqian thought that right now, Tang Ao must be extremely exhausted. Otherwise, with Tang Ao's boldness in fighting the gray-furred monster alone, Tang Ao would not have attacked the striped leopard until now. In reality, Situ Qianqian's thoughts were correct. Right now, Tang Ao was indeed full of misgivings. Because of the previous battle with the Ho brothers, Tang Ao's vitality was greatly injured. The vitality in his body was completely used up. Even now, Tang Ao could barely move. At this time, even if he faced a 5th-level origin martial realm monster, Tang Ao would not be able to handle it, let alone a 7th-level body refining realm striped leopard. Uncle Zhongshan, I'll go lure this striped leopard away. After Zhongshan said his idea, the sturdy youth beside Tang Ao immediately said. Tang Ao remembered that this martial artist was called Lin Hu. His cultivation was at the early stage of the 5th level of the body refining realm. To be able to cultivate to this level at his age, if it wasn't because he was lacking in cultivation resources, then his martial talent was too poor. After seeing him take the initiative to volunteer, Tang Ao secretly nodded his head. In reality, after the beast tied, Lin Hu's injuries were also not light. It was just that compared to Tang Ao and Zhongshan, Lin Hu's injuries were slightly better. Although Situ Qianqian's condition was better than Lin Hu's, Situ Qianqian was too afraid when facing the striped leopard. This way, it would be too dangerous for Situ Qianqian to face the striped leopard alone. Therefore, Lin Hu did not hesitate and directly said it. But after Lin Hu said it, Zhongshan did not agree. This made Lin Hu a bit puzzled. He did not know why Zhongshan did not agree to lure the striped leopard away. Lin Hu did not know the reason, but Tang Ao knew. Among the few people here, other than Zhongshan, who was at the 7th level of the body refining realm, Tang Ao and the other two were only at the 5th level of the body refining realm. For a martial artist at the 5th level of the body refining realm to attract the attention of a demonic beast at the 7th level of the body refining realm was like throwing a meat bun at a dog. In other words, even if Lin Hu could lure the striped leopard away, he would most likely die in its mouth. That was why Zhongshan did not agree. After all, Lin Hu was still young and had a long road ahead of him. Although this kind of sacrifice was very heroic, if Lin Hu was alive, he would be able to bring more help to Qinyan village. Sure enough, at this moment, Zhongshan said, "Let me go. You and Qianqian have to train harder in the future." Although the world of martial arts was cruel, it was equally exciting. However, only the strong can enjoy this excitement. The weak can only be helpless ants. After Zhongshan said this, Situ, Qianqian, and Lin Hu understood what Zhongshan meant. Immediately, the two of them tried to dissuade him. Uncle Zhongshan, among the few of us, my injuries are the lightest. If I go, I have a high chance of escaping. I can't be a little girl hiding behind you for the rest of my life. Let me go this time. Situ, Qianqian's eyes flashed with determination. In this kind of life and death crisis, Situ, Qianqian's heart of universal love allowed her to overcome the fear in her heart. Although Situ Qianqian was still afraid of the striped leopard, at this moment, Situ Qianqian was not like before. She did not have the courage to face the striped leopard. Junior sister Qianqian, your speed is not as fast as mine. Let me go this time. Hearing Situ Qianqian say this, Lin Hu immediately became anxious. It was just that Lin Hu did not know how to speak, so he could only say this. Chapter 1301. If Tang Ao had not consumed so much energy, then Tang Ao would have definitely taken the initiative to lure the striped leopard away. This was because Tang Ao knew that no matter how fast the striped leopard was, it could not be faster than the wind thunder dark cloud. In Tang Ao's knowledge, up until now, Tang Ao had not thought of anything that could match the speed of the wind thunder dark cloud. Although Tang Ao's cultivation was greatly damaged, when Tang Ao circulated the wind thunder dark cloud with all his strength, it was not something that a mere striped leopard could catch up to. But now, Tang Ao could only think about it. Feeling the empty essence in his body, Tang Ao knew that if he went to lure the striped leopard now, he would also be sending himself to his death. Senior apprentice brother Tang Ao, do you have any good ideas? After hearing Tang Ao's words, Situ Qianqian immediately asked, It can't be considered a good idea. Tang Ao pondered for a moment before saying, With the 4 of our current strength, it is absolutely impossible to deal with this striped leopard. Once the 4 of us die in battle, Qingyun village will immediately be razed to the ground by this striped leopard. Right now, the best method is for all the people in Qingyun village who can fight to join forces with us to kill this striped leopard. When a nest is overturned, how can there be intact eggs? Tang Ao's voice was not very loud, but after it was wrapped in essence qi, everyone in the surroundings could hear it clearly. Although a few people had a trace of disdain in their eyes, there were even more people who revealed a pondering expression. Not long after, a one-legged martial artist with a walking stick took a step forward. This old man has lived to this age and has lived long enough. Today, if I can help you kids kill this striped leopard, it can also be considered as making a contribution. 7th Great Uncle. This one-legged old man's prestige in the crowd was not low. After seeing him step forward, the surrounding people immediately exclaimed. 7th Martial Uncle. Lin, who was also stunned. This old man was Lin Hu's master's junior apprentice brother. When Lin Hu's master was still alive, Lin Hu often saw the 2 of them playing chess in the forest. Count me in. After the one-legged old man spoke, a blind martial artist also spoke up. There was a ferocious and terrifying scar on this person's eyes. It was obvious that he had been blinded by a sword. Tang Ao noticed that the wound was so deep that it almost cut off half of his head. At the same time, Tang Ao sighed inwardly. This person's life was tough. This kind of injury could be considered fatal. However, this warrior had only lost his eyes and was still alive and well. Moreover, from his energetic voice, Tang Ao could tell that this warrior's strength was not weak. It was just that without his eyes, he might not be able to unleash his full power. After all, not every martial artist was like Tang Ao, possessing a powerful soul C and exquisite soul remembrance. How could I, second mother, miss such a lively event? This time, the one who spoke was a middle-aged woman sitting in a wheelchair. Although she was sitting in a wheelchair, Tang Ao did not see any signs of weakness from her body. Instead, she had a threatening, heroic spirit. Just based on this point, Tang Ao could tell that before this woman was injured, she was definitely a free and unrestrained heroine. Second mother, is your body all right? After hearing this voice, the martial artist who was blind just now asked, Yeah, even a blind person like you dares to come out and meddle. Why can't I come? After hearing someone say that her body was not good, second mother was instantly unhappy. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao couldn't help but smile. Compared to the cold Qingyun alliance, the people in Qingyun village were clearly much cuter. Although these people were still talking and laughing, in a moment when the battle began, some of them might not be seen again. Chapter 1302. Now that the survival of Qingyun village was at stake, these warriors would naturally not stand idly by. Although some of the warriors remained indifferent on the periphery, their chances of defeating the striped leopard were much higher now that they had joined the fray. After the crowd released their auras, the striped leopard started to feel uneasy. Although the striped leopard was powerful, it still showed a hint of hesitation in its eyes when faced with such a large number of warriors. In the past, it had relied on its powerful aura to intimidate its prey to the point where they couldn't move. However, this time, the prey in front of it didn't seem to be intimidated. The striped leopard's intelligence wasn't very high, but it could still think about some things. As it thought about this, the striped leopard licked its sharp claws. If it hadn't been to feed its cub, the striped leopard would have retreated in this situation. Now, however, the striped leopard was very hesitant. Originally, the striped leopard had only wanted to sneak into Qingyun village to catch some livestock to fill its stomach. However, the beast tide had erupted, and the warriors in Qingyun village were very vigilant. Therefore, It was quickly discovered when it entered Chinyan village. After being discovered, the striped leopard immediately wanted to escape. However, the warrior it feared just now kept pestering it, so it couldn't escape even if it wanted to. Now that it had consumed so much energy, it wouldn't be able to feed its cub. While the striped leopard was still hesitating, the seventh great uncle suddenly slammed the bamboo stick in his hand on the ground. Then he stretched his body and instantly rose from the ground, smashing towards the striped leopard's head. Tang Ao was speechless when he saw the speed. Judging from the attack alone, the seventh great uncle didn't look like a warrior who had lost a leg. The moment the seventh great uncle made his move, Tang Ao and the others also made their move. Although there was strength in numbers, the warriors here were either injured or disabled. Although the momentum of their attacks wasn't small, they didn't cause much damage to the striped leopard. The seventh great uncle's speed was the fastest, so he was the first to smash the striped leopard's head with his stick. However, the striped leopard didn't suffer much damage after being hit by the stick. His body only paused for a moment before he suddenly jumped up and clawed at seventh great uncle fiercely. Seventh uncle, be careful. After Zhongshan warned, the long stick in his hand stabbed toward the belly of the striped leopard. However, Zhongshan's speed was not as fast as seventh great uncle's. The moment his iron rod was sent out, it was caught by the leopard's claw. Then, the striped leopard exerted its strength and sent Zhongshan flying. Fortunately, the blind martial artist was behind Zhongshan and helped him remove the terrifying force from his body. At the same time, the other's attacks rained down on the striped leopard's body. However, it was all bark and no bite. After receiving so many attacks, the striped leopard was completely unscathed. This kind of attack also stimulated the ferocity of the striped leopard. The striped leopard was an incomparably ferocious, demonic beast. At first, it was stunned by the seventh great uncle's sudden attack. After recovering, the striped leopard immediately revealed its ferocious side. Its sharp claws were like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Tang Ao only saw a flash of silver light, and a warrior's head was sent flying by the striped leopard's claw. This beast is ferocious. Everyone put in more effort. Seventh great uncle shouted anxiously when he saw this scene. Chapter 1303. However, Tang Ao was powerless against the striped leopard. Tang Ao had yet to recover from his previous battle with Ho Tianlin and his brother. Even before Tang Ao had a chance to catch his breath, he had already encountered the striped leopard. Although they had managed to suppress the leopard by joining forces, it was too powerful. Even after such a long time, they still hadn't managed to inflict any damage on it. Not only had they failed to inflict any damage on the striped leopard, but the martial artists on their side had also been killed by it. If this continued, Tang Ao reckoned that all the martial artists on his side would be killed before the striped leopard was killed. Tang Ao could also see that there were many martial artists surrounding the striped leopard. However, only a few of them had displayed their true abilities. There were a few martial artists who had been attacking the striped leopard from afar. Once the striped leopard approached them, they would retreat even further away before it could even get close. When their attacks landed on the striped leopard's body, they did not even cause it to scratch. According to Tang Ao's original plan, with so many martial artists working together, they should have been able to take down the striped leopard without any problems. However, everyone had their own ideas and were unable to work as one. This resulted in the first few martial artists who had attacked the striped leopard with all their might dying tragically. After witnessing this scene, one of the martial artists hesitated for a moment before fleeing into the distance. However, before he could get far, the striped leopard spat out a ball of light, turning it into a rain of blood. The stench of blood stimulated the striped leopard's bestial instincts. As the striped leopard brandished its sharp claws, several more martial artists were injured. However, one of the martial artists was also fierce. When the striped leopard's claws pierced his abdomen, he used the dagger in his hand to cut a bloody wound on the striped leopard's back. This is a good chance. Tang Ao knew that this wasn't a burst of potential from the martial artist before his death. Instead, it was a wound that hadn't fully healed yet. However, the striped leopard's attack was so fierce that even Tang Ao didn't notice it. After discovering the wound, a silver light flashed in Tang Ao's hand, and the 100-battle spear soul was released by Tang Ao. Tang Ao held the 100-battle spear soul tightly with both hands and stabbed it into the wound on the striped leopard's back with great force. However, the striped leopard had become much more cautious after the previous lesson. In the face of Tang Ao's fierce attack, it didn't retreat. Instead, it moved forward and pounced on Tang Ao. Thousand Ghost Soul Lock. Facing the striped leopard's attack, Tang Ao didn't dare to be careless. At the same time, Tang Ao withdrew his spear. For black chains instantly extended from his back and collided with the striped leopard that was pouncing towards him. The striped leopard's flying claws collided with Tang Ao's Thousand Ghost Soul Lock, creating dazzling sparks. The striped leopard's claws clashed fiercely with Tang Ao's 10,000 Ghost Lock Soul, causing dazzling sparks to fly out. At this time, Tang Ao shook his arm again and stabbed the 100-battle spear soul toward the striped leopard's eyes. However, the striped leopard was too fast, and the gap between Tang Ao and the striped leopard was slightly bigger. Therefore, before Tang Ao's attack landed on the striped leopard's body, Tang Ao felt the spear tremble and almost flew out of his hand. It was the striped leopard's terrifying claw that hit the 100-battle spear soul. This attack caused Tang Ao's 100-battle spear soul to flicker. Tang Ao didn't continue to use the 100-battle spear soul. He had too little primordial chi in his body. If he continued to use the 100-battle spear soul when his primordial chi was insufficient, the 100-battle spear soul might be smashed by the striped leopard on the spot. Chapter 1304. Rumble. The sound of essence energy explosions wreaked havoc, and the powerful essence energy storm caused the surrounding houses to collapse. The ground had also become riddled with holes due to the battle between Tang Ao's group and the striped leopard. Strong winds howled and roars shook the heavens. Tang Ao felt it was a pity that his attack had failed. This striped leopard was too strong, and he had managed to inflict a small wound on it with great difficulty. If he did not make full use of it, his group would have no chance of winning. However, this striped leopard's intelligence was not low. Even Tang Ao's sneak attack had failed. Although the others had the same idea as Tang Ao, their attacks were also blocked by the striped leopard. Tang Ao secretly frowned. If the fight continued like this, forget about killing the striped leopard. Even half of the cultivators present might not be able to leave this place alive. Pucci. But at this moment, the situation took a turn for the better. As the striped leopard rushed towards Tang Ao, Situ Qianqian, who was standing to one side, took advantage of the gap and stabbed the long sword in her hand into the wound of the striped leopard. Suddenly, hot blood splashed out, and the striped leopard issued a miserable roar. Immediately, its claws broke Situ Qianqian's long sword. After being injured, the striped leopard roared and bit Situ Qianqian in its mouth. Then, it madly rushed into the distance. This scene was beyond everyone's expectations, and the seventh great uncle immediately shouted, "Striped leopards are the most vengeful. This girl has injured it. The consequences will be disastrous. Quickly stop her." As the seventh great uncle's voice faded, the two cultivators near the striped leopard hesitated for a moment. But in the end, they braced themselves and rushed forward to block the striped leopard. However, before they could even approach the striped leopard, two sharp claws pounced on them and smashed their heads on the spot. Blood splashed out, and the bodies of the two cultivators softly fell to the ground, without the slightest trace of vitality. Suddenly, Tang Ao's figure flashed, and a silvery radiance flashed out from his hand. Tang Ao released the 100-battle spear soul. Tang Ao fiercely threw the 100-battle spear soul towards the wound on the back of the striped leopard. This time, the The striped leopard was so intent on escaping that it didn't even try to avoid Tang Ao's 100-battle spear soul. However, as it moved, the 100-battle spear soul had already deviated from the wound on its back. However, Tang Ao was not anxious. Instead, he was delighted. If it were an ordinary warrior, he would not be able to control his life soul as he pleased at this distance. However, Tang Ao was not one of them. Therefore, with a single thought from Tang Ao, the 100-battle spear soul trembled in midair, and with a poochie sound, it pierced into the back of the striped leopard. After being pierced by Tang Ao's 100-battle spear soul, the striped leopard let out a scream, and Situ Qianqian escaped from its mouth. However, at this moment, Situ Qianqian's body was trembling. Obviously, the scene just now had frightened her. This striped leopard had killed many warriors here, and the moment she was taken away by the striped leopard, Situ Qianqian thought that she was doomed. However, Situ Qianqian did not expect that Tang Ao would save her once again. Zhongshan was right. A demonic beast like the striped leopard was indeed very vengeful. Just now, Situ Qianqian had injured it, so it attacked Situ Qianqian. This time, Tang Ao had severely injured it, so it immediately chased after Tang Ao. Tang Ao was not frightened by the striped leopard's aura. When he saw the striped leopard chasing after him, Tang Ao took a step and flew towards a forest in the distance. Chapter 13:05. The wind whistled past Tang Ao's ears as he heard heavy panting behind him. This panting was none other than the striped leopard's. The striped leopard's speed was frighteningly fast. Even if Tang Ao flew at full speed, it could still chase after him relentlessly. What surprised Tang Ao the most was that this striped leopard had mastered a secret technique that used Yuan Qi to transform into wings. At this moment, there was a pair of transparent wings on both sides of the striped leopard's body. The striped leopard's wings flapped up and down as it flew forward for a long distance. After seeing this pair of Yuan Qi wings, Tang Ao didn't continue flying in the air because it would be easy for the striped leopard to catch up. Tang Ao plunged into the dense forest below. Tang Ao nimbly dodged the trees in the forest, but because the striped leopard was too fast, it would occasionally break one or two trees. This made the striped leopard extremely sullen, and it let out a series of roars behind Tang Ao. Later, the striped leopard stopped flying in the forest and started running on the ground. Even though it was running on the ground, the striped leopard's speed was extremely fast. Moreover, unlike flying, the striped leopard was naturally very suited for running. When the striped leopard ran in the forest, its speed was even faster than Tang Ao's flying speed. Tang Ao scanned with his remembrance and saw the striped leopard chasing after him like a bolt of golden lightning. Tang Ao bitterly laughed and immediately summoned the battle sage bone life soul. At the same time, Tang Ao consumed the 3 yuan cultivating pills that Lin Dongnan had given him not long ago. After consuming the 3 yuan cultivating pills, the pure yuan qi in the yuan cultivating pills immediately flowed through Tang Ao's body. Tang Ao refined and absorbed this yuan qi as he flew. At this moment, Tang Ao truly realized how important the yuan cultivating pills were in the Hidden Dragon Cave. They could be used to cultivate and increase cultivation speed. At critical moments, it could also be used to recover yuan qi and maintain the ability to continue fighting. Tang Ao had already decided that when he entered the Evergreen Valley and won the bid, he would definitely think of ways to obtain more spiritual herbs to refine essence cultivating pills. Then, he would refine a large number of essence cultivating pills and carry them with him. After Tang Ao released the Battle Sagebone Life Soul, Tang Ao's speed increased significantly. Although it wasn't as terrifying as the striped leopard wouldn't be able to catch up to Tang Ao anytime soon. However, Tang Ao was a bit confused. His soul remembrance kept scanning his surroundings. However, under Tang Ao's soul remembrance, this dense forest didn't have any plants. Just as Tang Ao was feeling puzzled, an emerald green vine suddenly shot out from the soil and whipped towards Tang Ao's chest. Tang Ao scanned with his soul remembrance and saw that this emerald green vine was like a poisonous snake. Although it was a plant, its head was really like a snake's head. Before the vine could hit him, Tang Ao abruptly punched out. Pong! A muffled sound rang out, and the vine was sent flying by Tang Ao's iron fist. After receiving Tang Ao's attack, the vine didn't attack again. Instead, it instantly retracted back into the ground. Tang Ao didn't mind and continued flying forward. Even if there were more of these vines ahead, Tang Ao didn't dare to stop. Compared to these vines, Tang Ao was definitely more difficult to deal with the striped leopard that was chasing relentlessly behind him. Tang Ao's powerful soul remembrance swept out. He saw that when the striped leopard passed by the ground where the vine had attacked him, the vine similarly emerged from the soil and instantly wrapped around one of the striped leopard's legs. Chapter 1306. After the striped leopard got rid of one of the vines, Tang Ao, who was flying ahead, was once again blocked by several vines. Tang Ao's eyes turned cold, and a green light bloomed behind him. Immediately, the Green Lotus Sword Soul was released by Tang Ao. The Green Lotus Sword Soul slightly trembled in the air and instantly transformed into 7 green lotus swords. Go! Tang Ao pointed his finger, and with a low shout, the 7 green lotus swords suddenly slashed towards the vines in front of him. However, the toughness of these vines was far beyond Tang Ao's expectations. Under the attack of the green lotus swords, only white marks appeared on these vines, and they weren't like the striped leopard, which cleanly cut these green vines into several pieces. However, Tang Ao didn't seem to want to cut these vines. When the green lotus swords entangled these vines, Tang Ao had already flown far away. After Tang Ao left with a thought, the 7 green lotus swords once again returned behind Tang Ao, floating behind Tang Ao. At this time, the striped leopard also happened to arrive. These vines didn't return to the ground this time, and instead launched a fierce attack on the striped leopard. The striped leopard had just been entangled by a vine, and now it was annoyed to see vines, especially when it saw the human who injured it getting further and further away from it. The striped leopard was very annoyed. A cold glint flashed on the striped leopard's sharp claws when it saw the vines pouncing towards it. Soon after, the striped leopard unceremoniously waved its claws and cut the vines into pieces as if it was chopping vegetables. Pooh, pooh, as Tang Ao went deeper, the surrounding vines also increased. Tang Ao's remembrance had been covering the surroundings, so when the 2 strange sounds rang out, Tang Ao discovered 2 vines attacking him. Although these 2 vines weren't many, Tang Ao felt that it was a bit unusual. This was because Tang Ao actually felt a wave of yuan qi from these 2 vines. From the vital qi undulations on their bodies, Tang Ao could determine that these 2 vines were shockingly at the 3rd level of the body refining realm. And this body refining realm 3rd level vine was indeed not simple. In an instant, it arrived in front of Tang Ao. Without understanding the situation, Tang Ao did not dare to rashly come into contact with this kind of vine. Before the vines could hit him, Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul greeted the 2 vines. Then, Tang Ao was surprised to see that his green lotus sword soul actually created a series of sparks when it slashed at the vines, but it still couldn't cut through the vines. Although he was surprised, it was within Tang Ao's expectations. After all, the green lotus sword soul was unable to cut those seemingly weak vines. At the same time, Tang Ao also knew that this wasn't because the vines were too strong, but because he was too weak. If Tang Ao was at his peak, the green lotus sword soul could explode with the terrifying fighting strength of 29 levels of the sky. In that situation, let alone cutting these 2 small vines, As long as Tang Ao was willing, the entire forest could be instantly destroyed by the Green Lotus Sword Soul's terrifying sword aura. However, right now, both Tang Ao and the Green Lotus Sword Soul were in an extremely weak state. Therefore, when the Green Lotus Sword Soul faced these vines, it felt extremely powerless. However, every time the Green Lotus Sword Soul stalled these vines, Tang Ao was able to calmly leave. After Tang Ao left, the Green Lotus Sword Soul flew back behind Tang Ao. Chapter 1307. Tang Ao thought back to how the striped leopard had easily killed a 5th-level body refining realm martial artist in Qin Yun's village, so he didn't find it strange anymore. However, what Tang Ao didn't understand was that after the striped leopard cut through the vines, it didn't continue chasing him. Instead, it looked around vigilantly. Seeing this, Tang Ao naturally didn't think that the striped leopard was deliberately mystifying him. This was because Tang Ao knew that with the striped leopard's intelligence, it couldn't do this. Since the striped leopard had stopped on its own, it meant that there was something wrong with this forest. Thinking of this, Tang Ao's incomparably powerful soul remembrance was instantly released. Like a gale sweeping up fallen leaves, it spread out in all directions. Under Tang Ao's soul remembrance, Tang Ao really did see a few vines dancing in the forest. Aside from this, Tang Ao didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Just as Tang Ao was thinking of this, Tang Ao abruptly noticed that under the ground between him and the striped leopard, there was an extremely obscure ripple that had just spread out. Tang Ao immediately used his heavenly polar pupils to investigate. Immediately, Tang Ao jumped in fright. Tang Ao didn't think too much about it. When he saw what was under the soil, he instantly retreated. The striped leopard in front of Tang Ao also suddenly pounced from his side. Immediately, 2 cyan blade auras with terrifying auras flew towards where Tang Ao and the striped leopard were. The auras were incomparably sharp, and only after cutting down over 10 thick trees behind them did they disappear. At this moment, the ground between Tang Ao and the striped leopard cracked open. Immediately, a figure emerged from the ground. Tang Ao found it hard to believe that the figure that had emerged from the ground was actually a person. However, this person was extremely terrifying. His body was completely bare, and he wasn't wearing any clothes. However, his skin was very rough, just like tree bark. Furthermore, there were vines connected to his body. Tang Ao had used his skypolarity eyes to confirm that this wasn't a monster formed by the vines. Instead, this thing that looked neither human nor ghost was really a person. Tang Ao dared to guarantee that if a less courageous martial artist saw this vine man, they would immediately faint from fright. However, Tang Ao was by no means a timid martial artist. Not only was Tang Ao not timid, but he was also extraordinarily bold. Therefore, after the vine man appeared, Tang Ao was still thinking about how to talk to it. However, this martial artist with vines attached to his body was not very friendly. Tang Ao only heard him growl, and immediately after, countless vines flew out from the ground and attacked Tang Ao and the striped leopard. "My friend, please calm down. I am Tang Ao of the Qin Yun Union. I have mistakenly entered this place. I hope my friend will be magnanimous. If these vines were ownerless, Tang Ao would naturally be able to deal with them calmly. However, at this moment, it seemed that these vines had a great connection with this mysterious man. Therefore, Tang Ao also wanted to resolve this problem through communication. After all, Tang Ao didn't have any conflicts of interest with this fellow. Moreover, he could be considered to have attracted a body-refining realm level 7 striped leopard here to be his prey. At this moment, Tang Ao didn't want to fight the striped leopard, nor did he want to fight this strange man. In Tang Ao's opinion, it would be best for this mysterious man to fight the striped leopard, and then he would take the opportunity to escape from this forest. However, while Tang Ao's thoughts were good, the man controlling the vines didn't seem to have any intention of letting Tang Ao leave. Therefore, after Tang Ao spoke, the vines continued to attack Tang Ao without slowing down. Chapter 1308. It was obvious that this vine man knew that compared to Tang Ao, the striped leopard was his biggest enemy. It was just that this vine man's attack style was too simple, or it could be said that the striped leopard was able to restrain it. No matter how the vine man attacked the striped leopard could always wave its claws to resolve the crisis. Tang Ao did not have any thoughts of fighting this vine man. In Tang Ao's opinion, there was no point in fighting this vine man. Therefore, while the vine man was fighting the striped leopard, Tang Ao wanted to take the chance to escape. But this vine man clearly did not plan on letting Tang Ao leave. Tang Ao had not even taken a few steps when a circle of vines burst out from the surrounding soil, surrounding Tang Ao in the center. After these vines appeared, they unceremoniously attacked Tang Ao. This time Tang Ao did not use the green lotus sword soul to attack, but summoned two netherworld flames to float on his left and right side. These two netherworld flames had been connected to Tang Ao and had swallowed countless flames to evolve. Because Tang Ao's cultivation was limited, he could not use his strongest power, but the terrifying temperature of the netherworld flames still caused the surrounding vines to pause for a moment. But it only paused for a moment before these vines charged at Tang Ao again. This time Tang Ao did not continue to dodge. Fire subduing wood was an unchanging principle. Tang Ao did not believe that his netherworld flames could not control these vines. Therefore, with just a thought from Tang Ao, the netherworld flames floating on Tang Ao's side suddenly rose, instantly turning into a wall of fire. This wall of fire surrounded Tang Ao in the center, and the surrounding vines attacking Tang Ao also rushed into the wall of fire. Even if these vines were strange, their attribute suppression still existed. Therefore, after these vines rushed into the sea of fire, Tang Ao heard bursts of explosions, and at the same time, he smelled a burning smell. The vine man, who was focused on fighting the striped leopard, obviously also noticed the abnormality on Tang Ao's side. He immediately roared, and the surging energy on his body immediately erupted. As his energy erupted, the vines that were previously in a daze suddenly became energetic, and the aura on their bodies also boiled in an instant. And this was not the end. Tang Ao saw that at the location of his heart, 3 blood-colored vines quietly grew. These 3 blood-colored vines were like 3 blood snakes, and after growing to a certain extent, they sank into the ground. Even so, Tang Ao, who had the sky-polar eyes, still knew that these 3 blood-colored vines were coming for him. Sure enough, just as this thought flashed in Tang Ao's mind, the 3 blood-colored vines broke out of the ground in front of Tang Ao and then rushed toward Tang Ao. Compared to ordinary vines, the speed of these 3 vines was more than 10 times faster. Tang Ao only saw a flash of blood-colored light, and then the 3 vines immediately flew to the wall of fire. The terrifying temperature of the netherworld flame immediately spread to the 3 blood-colored vines, and then Tang Ao saw the netherworld flame not fail to disappoint the blood-colored vines. But Tang Ao was not happy for too long. Tang Ao saw that the 3 blood-colored vines were rapidly reforming as they melted. Tang Ao did not expect these blood-colored vines to have this kind of ability. Although the netherworld flame was powerful, the power of the netherworld flame was limited, and it could not instantly burn these blood-colored vines. The most terrifying thing was that after these 3 vines gradually adapted to the netherworld flame, they actually began to devour the netherworld flame. Chapter 1309. At this time, the striped leopard and Tang Ao had a tacit understanding. When Tang Ao escaped, the striped leopard cooperated and escaped in the opposite direction. To the vine man, after seeing his true body, Tang Ao and the striped leopard, he wanted to kill them both. However, with Tang Ao and the striped leopard escaping in different directions, he couldn't chase after them. Moreover, his current abilities were limited, and he couldn't control all the demon vines in this forest. After thinking for a moment, the Vine Man gave up on Tang Ao. Compared to Tang Ao, the body refining realm 7th level striped leopard was more attractive to the Vine Man. As long as he could devour the striped leopard's flesh, his cultivation would increase again. As his cultivation increased, the number of demon vines he could control would increase, and the demon vines would grow stronger. Therefore, compared to the striped leopard, the body refining realm 5th level Tang Ao wasn't much. Moreover, the Vine Man believed that even if he didn't interfere, the vines in this forest would still attack Tang Ao. Moreover, aside from vines, this forest also had vine snakes. With Tang Ao's body refining realm 5th level cultivation, it was impossible for him to walk out of this forest. As for why Tang Ao was able to walk into this forest, the Vine Man believed that it was most likely because of the striped leopard. Now that the striped leopard had escaped, it was impossible for Tang Ao to walk out. Ignoring Tang Ao, the Vine Man directly dove into the soil and chased after the striped leopard. Tang Ao swept out with his soul remembrance and discovered that the vine monster wasn't chasing him. He was instantly happy. Tang Ao silently sighed. This time, the unlucky one wasn't him. If Tang Ao encountered something unlucky at any time, Tang Ao really wouldn't be able to take it. Without the Vine Man's control, the 3 blood-colored vines abruptly burrowed into the soil and disappeared. Tang Ao didn't dare waste any time and immediately fled into the distance. However, this time, Tang Ao summoned his netherworld flame, creating a flame barrier around him. Tang Ao hid in the flame barrier and continued to fly forward. Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to investigate and found that this forest had a boundary. With Tang Ao's flying speed, he only needed to fly for an hour before Tang Ao could completely leave this forest. However, this forest was easy to enter but hard to leave. Tang Ao didn't fly for long before he hastily stopped. This was because in front of him, there was a huge azure python as tall as a tree. This python's eyes were like lanterns as it stared at Tang Ao. There are also some small snakes swimming around Juwen. After sensing Tang Ao's presence, these small snakes instantly pounced on Tang Ao as if they wanted to tear him apart. However, these snakes weren't afraid of fire like he had imagined. After being burned by the netherworld flame, these snakes instantly charged at Tang Ao as if they wanted to rip him to shreds. But these little snakes were obviously not afraid of fire. After being burned by the netherworld flame, these little snakes actually stared at the netherworld flame and attacked Tang Ao. However, these snakes weren't afraid of fire like he had imagined. After being burned by the netherworld flame, these snakes actually stared at the netherworld flame and began to attack Tang Ao. Tang Ao hated demonic beasts the most, and they were snake-type demonic beasts. Now that the striped leopard had left, Qingyun Village's crisis had been resolved. Therefore, Tang Ao naturally wouldn't continue fighting. This was because there was no meaning to Tang Ao, and it would only be a waste of energy. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't have any thoughts of tangling with these pythons. After using the flame barrier to hide himself, Tang Ao immediately changed directions and fled. Chapter 13:10. Although a few vines would occasionally fly out to block him, under the search of Tang Ao's soul remembrance, Tang Ao was already very close to the edge of this forest. As long as he left this forest, there would be no more strange vines. Then, Tang Ao would be able to safely return to Qingyun Village. After resting in Qingyun Village for a while, Tang Ao prepared to go with Situ Qianqian to Evergreen Valley to try their luck. All of the treasures and materials in the Hidden Dragon Cave came from Evergreen Valley. Therefore, Tang Ao wanted to see what kind of place Evergreen Valley was. As Tang Ao was thinking about this, Tang Ao suddenly heard a low roar from below. Using his soul remembrance, Tang Ao discovered an extremely cute small white tiger and a vine snake confronting each other. This vine snake wasn't as big as the one Tang Ao just saw, but when it stood up, it was as tall as a person. As for the small white tiger confronting this vine snake, it was a small ice tiger cub. This small tiger was only the size of a normal dog. For some reason, it had entered this forest. Moreover, its luck was very bad. Just as it reached the edge of the forest, it was entangled by a vine. Moreover, after it was entangled by the vine, before it could struggle free, it encountered another vine snake. The vine snake greedily looked at the small tiger bound by the vine. The small ice tiger let out a series of immature roars, as if warning the vine snake not to approach it. Tang Ao saw this and found it interesting. At this time, the vine snake naturally wouldn't care about the ice tiger's warning. Therefore, it opened its bloody mouth and bit at the ice tiger's neck. Seeing the vine snake coming at it, the small ice tiger abruptly opened its mouth and immediately spat out a cold air. Seeing this cold air, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This small fellow clearly wanted to use the cold air to form an ice spear to deal with the vine snake. However, it was too small and didn't have a good grasp of its own talent. At this crucial moment, it couldn't use the cold air to form ice. However, what the ice tiger didn't expect was that the cold air it spat out didn't form ice under its control. However, when it looked at the ball of cold air, the ball of cold air suddenly condensed. This change gave the small ice tiger a fright. Of course, there was a reason for this change. This change gave the small ice tiger a fright. Of course, there was a reason for this change. After transforming the ice tiger's ice spear into an ice chain, Tang Ao's eyes flashed with a cold light. Immediately, an ancient halberd made of ice suddenly appeared above Tang Ao's head. This attack was somewhat similar to Ho Tianlin's attack not long ago. However, Tang Ao knew that his current cultivation was still far from Ho Tianlin's attack. At that time, if it wasn't for his skypolarity eyes, which blocked the power of the ice halberd, Tang Ao would have died long ago. Although this attack of Tang Ao's wasn't as strong as Ho Tianlin's, it was more than enough to deal with this vine snake that was only at the 6th level of the body, refining realm. Under the ice tiger's gaze, the ancient halberd above Tang Ao's head flashed. When it reappeared, it had already pinned the vine snake to the ground. After killing the vine snake, Tang Ao went to the side of the small ice tiger. At this moment, the small ice tiger was really cute. It was only the size of 2 palms. Seeing Tang Ao come over, the small fellow also let out a warning growl. Chapter 13:11. After the little ice tiger was blocked by Tang Ao's battle, Sage Bone Life Soul, it immediately pouted in anger. It looked extremely adorable. Seeing this little guy, Tang Ao couldn't help but think of Tang Ho. Back in the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm, Tang Ho and Tang Yu had been swept into another plane by the spatial turbulence. Tang Ao had originally planned on visiting them after recovering from his injuries, but until now, Tang Ao's injuries had yet to fully recover. With a helpless sigh, Tang Ao shot out a sword chi from his fingertip. With a poof, it cut off the vines that bound the ice tiger. The cut was as smooth as a mirror. One could imagine the power of the sword chi. Tang Ao's green lotus sword chi might not have been able to deal with the vines, but it was not a problem for it to deal with these ordinary vines. After Tang Ao cut off the vines, the ice tiger cub immediately fell. The little guy got up and immediately took a few steps back, distancing himself from Tang Ao. Although Tang Ao had just saved him, the little guy seemed to be a little afraid of human warriors. Tang Ao still didn't understand a monster like the ice tiger. When the ice tiger was still in its infancy, the mother would never leave the little ice tiger. Now that the little ice tiger was traveling alone in the forest, it was obvious that something had happened to the mother. After some thought, Tang Ao decided to bring the little guy back to Qing Yun's village to raise. "Little guy, are you willing to go with me?" Tang Ao tried his best to ask in a gentle tone. However, after Tang Ao asked the question, the little ice tiger still looked at Tang Ao warily. Tang Ao knew that the little guy still couldn't speak, but with its intelligence, it would have no problem understanding his words. The reason why it was acting like this was because the little guy still didn't trust him. Even so, Tang Ao didn't mind. Monstrous beasts and human warriors were in a competitive or even hostile relationship. Most of the monstrous beasts had very low intelligence. Only a small number of monstrous beasts with high intelligence could live in harmony with humans and mutually benefit each other. Moreover, the glacial tiger was one of these beasts. Therefore, when Tang Ao saw this glacial tiger cub, he had the idea of raising it. While the little ice tiger was still staring warily at Tang Ao, a pale green light appeared on Tang Ao's hand. These pulsating spots of light were like lively fairies. They danced around the ice tiger and wrapped it up. These faint green spots of light were none other than Tang Ao's jade bone life soul. Since the little ice tiger was trapped by the vines, it had some injuries on its body. However, these injuries were quickly healed by the jade bone life soul's healing power. After its injuries were healed, the little ice tiger stared blankly at its red and swollen paws. Its eyes were filled with disbelief. Seeing its cute appearance, Tang Ao took out a pale green elixir from his storage ring. This was a first-grade spirit beast elixir. Of course, Tang Ao had higher-grade spirit beast elixirs on him. However, because of two concerns, Tang Ao didn't take them out. Many of the elixirs on Tang Ao's body were refined in the black-yellow continent and the ice and snow plains. Although these elixirs could still be used in the Flying Star continent, as long as the elixirs were taken out of the chaotic hexagram mirror. Even if they were placed in a storage ring, the elixirs that were originally 100% effective would instantly become 1 to 30% effective. A Dan that was originally of the 10th rank would instantly be reduced to a 3rd rank. The higher the rank of the Dan, the more effective it would be. Another thing was that the little ice tiger was only at the 1st level of the body refining realm. The little guy wouldn't be able to withstand the effects of high-grade elixirs. Chapter 13:12. Just as the glacial tiger was thinking about how to get the pill, Tang Ao brought the pill to its mouth. This time, the little fellow was overjoyed. After it took the pill with its small claws, the glacial tiger couldn't wait to put the spirit beast pill in its mouth. The spirit beast pill melted in its mouth, and an unprecedented cool and refreshing feeling spread throughout the glacial tiger's body. Under this aura, every cell in its body seemed to be glowing with vitality. Little fellow, come with me. Looking at the glacial tiger's intoxicated appearance, Tang Ao didn't miss the opportunity to say this. When he said this, Tang Ao felt strange. This scene seemed like he was coaxing a child. However, Tang Ao had to admit that the effect of the Spirit Beast pill was really good. After taking a Spirit Beast pill, the glacial tiger immediately ran towards Tang Ao and rubbed itself against Tang Ao. Its big watery eyes looked at Tang Ao's storage ring. Because Tang Ao's Spirit Beast pill was taken out from the storage ring, this little fellow obviously wanted to eat more Spirit Beast pills. Tang Ao picked up the glacial tiger and patted its small head. Come back with me. In the future, there will be more Spirit Beast pills for you. This time, the glacial tiger was very obedient. It burrowed into Tang Ao's arms and fell asleep. It was difficult for monster beasts to establish trust with humans, but once trust was established, monster beasts would unreservedly believe in humans. Just like the current glacial tiger, it trusted Tang Ao very much. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so confident and bold as to sleep in Tang Ao's arms. At this time, Tang Ao was already at the edge of the strange mountain forest, so Tang Ao quickly walked out. After leaving the mountain forest, Tang Ao didn't immediately return to Qin Yun's village. Instead, he took out a huge animal skin scroll from the storage ring. The animal skin scroll was bare, there was nothing on it. Then, Tang Ao took out a rune pen and started ticking on the animal skin roll. Tang Ao had been in the Hidden Dragon Cave for a long time, so he had a good understanding of the Hidden Dragon Cave. At the same time, Tang Ao had also been to many places in the Hidden Dragon Cave. However, Tang Ao had never seen a martial artist draw a map of the hidden dragon crypt. Or it could be said that for most warriors, being able to survive in the hidden dragon crypt was already pretty good. How could they have the leisure to map out the hidden dragon crypt? For those powerful warriors, they were safe no matter where they went. Therefore, they didn't need a map at all. Naturally, they wouldn't waste any effort to map the hidden dragon crypt. But Tang Ao was different. Tang Ao's external injuries had all recovered, but Tang Ao's internal injuries obviously couldn't recover in this place. So, Tang Ao definitely wouldn't stay in the hidden dragon crypt for too long. If other warriors wanted to leave the hidden dragon crypt, even if they cultivated to the pinnacle of the body refining realm, it might not be that easy. This was because among the top warriors guarding the hidden dragon crypt, there were 4 experts at the pinnacle of the body refining realm, just like Shadowless and Su Hongyi that Tang Ao had seen before. At the 9th level of the body refining realm, these 2 might not be the strongest, but they were also the cream of the crop. In the 7 Kill sect, disciples with this kind of dance talent could also be considered core disciples. In the Flying Star continent, perhaps because there was no spiritual chi here, only those with the most outstanding martial arts talent could cultivate and survive. Chapter 13:13. It was not an exaggeration to say that any martial artist who could cultivate on the Flying Star continent would at least be an inner sect disciple in any sect in the Black-Yellow continent. There was even a group of people, including Ho Tianlin and Ho Qianxi, who had fought with Tang Ao not long ago. Even the core disciples of many sects might not be as talented as the 2 of them. Although the Black-Yellow continent also had the law of the jungle, compared to the Flying Star continent, the Black-Yellow continent was much more suitable for survival. On the Black-Yellow continent, the number of ordinary people and martial artists who could not cultivate was basically the same. In fact, there were many places where there were no martial artists at all. However, on the Flying Star continent, the people there were basically all martial artists. The number of ordinary people did not even reach 30% of the total population. Moreover, among these ordinary people, it was not that they could not cultivate. It was just that their martial arts talent was too poor, so they gave up on cultivating. However, their martial arts talent was also relatively poor. If there was spirit energy here, their cultivation speed would still make many people feel ashamed. While thinking about these things, Tang Ao drew the map in his hand. Tang Ao's dense psyche was transmitted to the rune pen in Tang Ao's hand. Immediately, mysterious runes were inserted into the map. The map that Tang Ao drew was obviously not an ordinary map. It was a rune map that could only be explored with psyche. Tang Ao had engraved the entire picture of the forest on the map, and he had also made detailed descriptions and annotations of the various vines and rattan snakes. However, as for the description of the vine man and the mountain forest, Tang Ao only vaguely mentioned it. Tang Ao had his own purpose for drawing this map. After the map was drawn, Tang Ao was going to sell it. Although Tang Ao knew that the Evergreen Valley had spirit herbs that could be used to refine the essence cultivating elixir, it was still unknown whether he would be able to find them after entering the Evergreen Valley. Therefore, Tang Ao had to make 2 preparations. One was to collect information about the Evergreen Valley to increase the probability of obtaining spiritual herbs after entering the Evergreen Valley. Although the Evergreen Valley was a treasure trove, it wasn't free to enter. Every time he entered the Evergreen Valley, he would have to pay the price of a mid-grade vitality augmenting pill. Although Tang Ao had obtained quite a number of substandard medial grade vitality cultivating pills after entering the Hidden Dragon Crypt, and the quantity was not small. But this did not mean that middle grade essence cultivating pills were not precious in the Dragon Subduing Crypt. On the contrary, in the Dragon Subduing Crypt, middle-grade essence cultivating pills were already considered very precious things. Although the Dragon Prison Castle imprisoned these warriors here, forcing them to expel their blood essence and enter the Evergreen Valley to search for spiritual materials every month, the Dragon Prison Castle did not allow these warriors to enter the Evergreen Valley. However, every month, Prison Dragon Castle would distribute cultivation resources to these cultivators. As long as they handed in a drop of their blood essence on time, each cultivator would receive at least 1 mid-grade vitality-raising pill and 10 low-grade vitality-raising pills, which was equivalent to 2 vitality-raising pills. Moreover, this was only a conservative estimate. If a martial artist was willing to spend time and energy to condense their own blood essence within a month, they would be able to obtain more cultivation resources if their blood essence was of a higher grade. Just like when Shadowless felt that Tang Ao's essence blood was not bad, he rewarded him with 3 middle-grade energy nourishing pills. Chapter 13-14. Tang Ao's method just happened to fill this gap. Tang Ao had already made up his mind. This map was split into 3 levels. The basic map only depicted the general appearance of the hidden dragon caves and the dangerous areas within. There naturally weren't any details. This kind of map didn't sound very useful, but in reality, it was already very useful. If it was a martial artist from the outside world, they probably wouldn't understand. However, as a martial artist in the hidden dragon caves, they naturally knew the difficulty of survival. They knew where the dangerous areas were and where the dangers were. Wherever the natural energy was the weakest, there was no energy at all. Or in other words, wherever the illusion flower density was lower, it was easier to survive. This information was very important to the martial artists in the hidden dragon caves. If a normal person wanted to draw a map like this, it was naturally very difficult. However, Tang Ao was different. Tang Ao's sole remembrance was dozens of streets ahead of martial artists of the same realm. Adding on Tang Ao's heavenly extreme pupils that could search the world, doing this kind of thing was extremely easy and pleasant. Moreover, in this period of time, Tang Ao had been fleeing east and west, going to quite a few places. Not long after, Tang Ao's topographic map of the Hidden Dragon Crypt took shape. However, this topographic map naturally couldn't be sold right now because its value is still too low. In the 3 levels of topographic maps that Tang Ao had planned, the basic topographic map was sold for 1 low-grade yuan cultivating pill. The middle-grade map was sold for 3 low-grade yuan cultivating pills, and the high-grade map was sold for 1 middle-grade yuan cultivating pill. The current map in Tang Ao's hands couldn't even be considered a basic one because most of the other places in the Hidden Dragon Caves hadn't been recorded by Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao didn't know much about those places, so Tang Ao couldn't just randomly write. After using a runic array to record the places, he personally went onto the beast skin map. Tang Ao identified the direction and returned to Qinyan village. Tang Ao had just been chased by the striped leopard, and he had been fleeing in a panic. Fortunately, Tang Ao's sole remembrance was powerful, and it didn't take long for him to find the correct path. The terrain along the way was naturally recorded by Tang Ao in the animal skin roll. With the strength of Tang Ao's sole remembrance, as long as his eyes saw something, he could immediately engrave it into the beast's skin scroll. However, before Tang Ao could enter the Qinyan village, he saw a group of warriors coming out of the Qinyan village. This scene stunned Tang Ao. When he saw Situ Qianqian in the crowd, Tang Ao's figure flashed and appeared in front of Situ Qianqian. The sudden appearance of Tang Ao startled everyone, but when they saw that it was Tang Ao, they were stunned. At this moment, everyone was preparing to set off to find Tang Ao. They didn't expect that Tang Ao would return unscathed after being chased by the striped leopard. Senior Tang Ao, it's great that you're still alive. We were just about to go out and find you. When Situ Qianqian saw Tang Ao, she immediately ran in front of Tang Ao. Hearing Situ Qianqian's words, Tang Ao was moved. He was used to the coldness of the martial arts world, so this sudden warmth surprised Tang Ao, but he was even more moved. The reason Tang Ao dared to lure the striped leopard away wasn't because he was impulsive or hot-blooded, but because Tang Ao knew that even in the worst-case scenario, the striped leopard wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Chapter 13-15. Become the village chief? Tang Ao was shocked and looked at his seventh great-uncle speechlessly. Although his seventh great-uncle looked old and feeble, Tang Ao knew that this old man was not that weak. Not long ago, when he had lured away the striped leopard, Tang Ao had been hesitant about whether or not to lure it away. At that time, Tang Ao had seen that everyone else's faces were very solemn and anxious, but his seventh great-uncle, the cultivator in the wheelchair, who was called Second Mother, and the blind cultivator looked hesitant. Tang Ao knew that these three people were not hesitating about whether or not to escape, but whether or not to use their trump card and join forces to kill the striped leopard. However, the three of them had too many concerns, and Situ Qianqian was in danger at the time, so Tang Ao could not hold back and took the initiative to lure the striped leopard away before the three of them could. This time, these three people had come out to look for him, and surprisingly, these three people were also there. In addition, there were two more cultivators that Tang Ao could not see through. Although these two people also exuded a declining aura, Tang Ao could feel that this was just a facade. These two people were like his seventh great-uncle and the other two people, hidden experts. Yes, we're going to make you the village chief of Qingyun village. Why are you not willing? Let me tell you, don't think that the position of village chief is too small. You must know that although Qingyun village belongs to the Qingyun Union, the Qingyun Union never manages the development of Qingyun village. Only when Qingyun village is in trouble may the cultivators of the Qingyun Union come to the rescue. Having said this, his seventh great-uncle paused for a moment and then immediately continued. As long as you become the village chief of Qingyun village, you will have the final say in the village from now on. Although this village chief is not as prestigious as Lin Dongnan or Ho Yaoying, the benefits are not small. Before seventh great-uncle could continue, Tang Ao was already a little excited. Previously, Tang Ao had learned from Situ Qianqian that there were spiritual fields in Qingyun village. However, according to Tang Ao's understanding, due to the lack of fertility in the spirit fields, the spirit herbs planted were also a mess. However, if the entire Qingyun village was managed by Tang Ao, the effect would naturally be incomparable. Tang Ao was a Tier 6 spirit pill grandmaster, someone who was half a step away from becoming an immortal pill master. Tang Ao could be said to be very familiar with the characteristics of most of the spiritual grasses. Therefore, what kind of spirit field was suitable for planting, and which spirit field could be improved to increase the yield? With regards to these questions, it wasn't an exaggeration for Tang Ao to say that he could answer them with just a glance. Other than the spirit fields, there were many other places in Qingyun village that were worth Tang Ao's exploration. However, Tang Ao didn't know what exactly he had to do as the village chief of Qingyun village. If it was too much of a waste of time, Tang Ao wouldn't agree to become the village chief. Right now, Tang Ao didn't have much time, and there were simply too many things that Tang Ao had to do. Seventh great-uncle, what do I have to do as the village chief? Tang Ao had a good habit of asking whenever he didn't understand. Seventh great-uncle pondered for a moment and calmly said to Tang Ao, the village chief of Qingyun village only has to do one thing, and that is to lead the villagers to live a peaceful life. Tang Ao secretly lamented in his heart. Tang Ao absolutely didn't believe that there was such a good thing in this world. Seventh great-uncle's words were beautiful, but they could only be beautiful words. Who knew how to let everyone live a peaceful life? Moreover, Tang Ao felt that since Qingyun village belonged to the Qingyun Alliance, it was impossible for it to have no obligations to the Qingyun Alliance. Chapter 13:16. Tang Ao cupped his fists at the surrounding people and said, I have some knowledge of spirit grasses. Before entering the Hidden Dragon Cave, I was an alchemist outside, so I have some understanding of spirit grasses. These people were different from Situ Qianqian. Although they could be trusted, they definitely couldn't be completely trusted. Therefore, Tang Ao only said he was an alchemist and didn't say he was a 9-star alchemist. Although Situ Qianqian was pure, she still understood this shallow understanding of the world. After thinking about it, Situ Qianqian felt a little happy in her heart. Tang Ao was willing to give her his alchemy jade strip, and at the same time, he also told her about his identity as a 9-star alchemist. This was because Tang Ao trusted her. "You're an alchemist?" After Tang Ao said that he was an alchemist, without waiting for Tang Ao to continue speaking, Seventh Great Uncle's muddy old eyes flashed with a trace of brilliance. Tang Ao already knew that this Qingyun village wasn't as simple as it seemed, so he still nodded. Sometimes, hiding too much wasn't a good thing. Exposing his identity as an alchemist might lead to some danger. However, along with danger, he would also receive better treatment. Indeed, after getting Tang Ao's confirmation, Seventh Uncle said in a low voice, "Let's go to the basement." As he said this, a powerful soul remembrance swept out in all directions from Seventh Great Uncle's body. In that instant, Seventh Great Uncle wasn't some body refining realm martial artist at all. Instead, the powerful aura of the peak of the body refining realm on his body was instantly revealed. After feeling Seventh Uncle's surging soul remembrance, Tang Ao smiled bitterly. Previously, he felt that Seventh Uncle and the other two should have the ability to deal with the striped leopard. Now, it seemed like there was no need for the three of them to attack together. Just Seventh Great Uncle alone was enough to make that striped leopard suffer. Moreover, Tang Ao somewhat admired Seventh Great Uncle's use of soul remembrance. Although Seventh Great Uncle's soul remembrance was incomparably powerful, it wasn't something normal people could sense. Only those who were extremely sensitive to soul remembrance could sense this surging soul remembrance. After seeing the bitter smile on Tang Ao's face, Seventh Great Uncle was also quite satisfied. Those who were sensitive to soul remembrance naturally had to be alchemists. Tang Ao was able to instantly sense Seventh Great Uncle's soul remembrance, which was enough to show how powerful Tang Ao's soul remembrance was. Even if a normal martial artist's soul remembrance was slightly more outstanding than a martial artist of the same rank, it wouldn't be by much. However, alchemists who frequently used soul remembrance to concoct pills were different. Most alchemists were born with powerful soul remembrance. Adding on the fact that they constantly used soul remembrance, their soul remembrance naturally became more and more terrifying. Of course, Tang Ao wasn't the only one who felt Seventh Great Uncle's soul remembrance. The sleeping ice tiger in Tang Ao's arms also seemed to sense something. With a grunt, it popped its small head out of Tang Ao's arms. Its drowsy appearance caused Situ Qianqian's eyes to flicker with light. Girls didn't have much resistance against such cute demonic beasts. Moreover, a young ice tiger was indeed very cute. This is an ice tiger cub. Seventh Great Uncle recognized the ice tiger the moment he saw it. After the ice tiger reached adulthood, it would change a lot. Moreover, the ice tiger cub would only follow the mother tiger during its infancy. Therefore, ordinary martial artists rarely saw the ice tiger cub. Seventh Great Uncle was able to recognize at a glance that the white and chubby little white tiger in Tang Ao's arms was an ice tiger cub. This wasn't easy. From another perspective, this showed that Seventh Great Uncle's knowledge was extraordinary. Chapter 13:17. Big Brother Tang Ao, can I hug it? Situ Qianqian stared at the little glacial tiger cub in Tang Ao's arms with sparkling eyes as they walked towards the underground secret room that her Seventh Great Uncle mentioned. Even Tang Ao had to admit that the infant glacial tiger cub was really cute. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't refuse and handed the cub over. Tang Ao thought that the cub would resist, but what Tang Ao didn't expect was that after Situ Qianqian took the cub obediently lay in Situ Qianqian's arms like a docile kitten. Tang Ao was speechless. You are a glacial tiger, a tiger. How can you behave like a kitten? However, Tang Ao didn't say this out loud. At this moment, there were a total of 9 people around Tang Ao, including Situ Qianqian. These 9 people included Zhongshan, Lin Hu, and a sturdy young man who looked a little silly. Tang Ao knew that this sturdy young man wasn't pretending. He really was a little silly. Although this sturdy young man looked a little silly, Tang Ao didn't look down on him. This sturdy young man kept smiling foolishly and looked harmless. However, Tang Ao could tell from his aura that this guy was definitely not harmless. His aura was very calm and even, and there was a hint of murderous aura. This kind of person was definitely very terrifying. 7th grade uncle, where are we going? This was the first time Zhongshan had heard of the underground secret room that his 7th grade uncle had mentioned. However, Zhongshan trusted 7th grade uncle unreservedly. This was because Zhongshan was abandoned by his parents when he was young. It was 7th grade uncle who rescued him from Evergreen Valley. 7th grade uncle and the others could be considered Zhongshan's adoptive parents. We're here. 7th grade uncle stopped at this time. Tang Ao looked up and saw that there was a very inconspicuous thatched cottage in front of 7th grade uncle. There were too many thatched cottages like this in Qingyun Village, because almost all the houses in Qingyun Village were like this. There was a reason why the house was built like this. Because Qingyun Village was close to the Evergreen Valley, there would often be beast tides. Therefore, all the houses in the village were built with thatched cottages. When the beast tide broke out, the damage would not be too great. The cost of building thatched cottages was low, and after being damaged in the beast tide, they could be quickly rebuilt. When the beast tide broke out, most of the thatched cottages in Qingyun Village were destroyed, but now, it was only less than a day after the beast tide, and these thatched cottages were impressively rebuilt. Compared to the other thatched cottages, there was nothing special about this one. At least from the outside, Tang Ao couldn't see anything abnormal. Immediately after, Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to scan this thatched cottage. Then, Tang Ao saw a white-clothed youth sitting in the thatched cottage, reading a book. The instant Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept into the thatched cottage, the white-clothed youth raised his head and looked at Tang Ao. With just one look, Tang Ao felt his eyes go dizzy. The white-clothed youth's eyes seemed to have stars in them. Moreover, from this white-clothed youth's body, Tang Ao felt an aura that he didn't dare believe. Tang Ao didn't know how long it had been since he felt this aura, because this was an aura that Tang Ao had felt in Underworld Emperor's secret realm from Underworld Emperor and other Turbid Heaven Realm experts. Chapter 13:18. All of a sudden, Tang Ao thought of something. The Flying Star Continent was too special. The spiritual energy that existed in other places did not exist in this place. Moreover, according to Tang Ao's understanding, there was still immortal spiritual energy above spiritual energy. However, there was no spiritual energy here, let alone immortal spiritual energy. Tang Ao had obtained Netherworld Emperor's inherited memories. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that in order to cultivate to the chaotic sky realm, it was impossible to rely on spiritual energy alone. One had to absorb and refine immortal spiritual energy. In other words, this youth in the thatched cottage was very likely to have come from a place with immortal spiritual energy. However, since he couldn't absorb and refine energy here, he looked like an ordinary person. 7th great uncle, isn't this young Master Shiyun's thatched cottage? Why do you say that this is the underground secret chamber of Qingyun Village? Situ Qianqian grew up in Qingyun Village. Therefore, she was very familiar with every corner of Qingyun Village. It wasn't just Situ Qianqian. Even Zhongshan and Lin who were somewhat confused. This was because the two of them knew that the person living here was a sickly youth. However, 7th great uncle didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at the thatched cottage. After looking at the thatched cottage, 7th great uncle's face revealed a rare expression of respect. Seeing the change in 7th great uncle's expression, Situ Qianqian, Zhongshan, and Lin who were confused. 7th great uncle was a highly respected elder in Qingyun Village and even the Qingyun League. However, At this moment, seventh great-uncle was looking at the thatched cottage with respect. This made Situ Chantian's group feel very strange. Situ Chantian's group didn't know the details of this youth called Shi Yun. However, Tang Ao did. If it wasn't for the fact that Tang Ao was sure that Shi Yun didn't have any cultivation, Tang Ao wouldn't have dared to stay here. Shi Yun had too many secrets. It was said that two God King experts fought in the Xitigarbis cemetery for the primal chaos hexagram mirror. Apart from the chaotic hexagram mirror, Tang Ao also had the underworld life soul of the 36 levels of heaven. Unlike other life souls, the 36th heaven life soul could be obtained through inheritance and devouring. Not only that, Tang Ao also had the primordial sacred heaven bow, the farmer god cauldron, the carefree sex carefree token, and half of the living soil. In addition to these worldly possessions, Tang Ao also had the 9-dragon king jade body, which even Tao masters coveted, and the sky pole pupils, which were 1 in a billion. If any of these secrets were to be exposed, it would be enough for Tang Ao to die hundreds of times. Even though Tang Ao was now a peak level 9 astral reaching realm warrior, Tang Ao would not dare to show these things around. Not to mention that Tang Ao's cultivation had been greatly reduced, and he was only at the 5th level of the body refining realm. Young Master Shi Yun, Chen Nanchi has come to pay a visit. This time, I have brought 4 more people. Among them, Zhongshan, Lin Hu, and Situ Chantian were specifically brought by young Master Shi Yun. As for bringing little friend Tang Ao, it was this old man's idea. I hope young Master Shi Yun can forgive me. But Tang Ao, 7th uncle, still wanted to say a few good words for Tang Ao, but Shi Yun opened his mouth and said, 7th uncle, it's not convenient for you to say too much. Come in and have a seat. Shi Yun's tone was very gentle. Such a tone made people unable to imagine that this young man used to be a heavenly muddy realm warrior. After hearing Shi Yun's words, 7th uncle also let out a sigh of relief. This young master Shi Yun looked like an ordinary person on the surface, but his abilities were far beyond everyone's imagination. Chapter 1319. The breakthrough in cultivation brought about an increase in lifespan. Although the increase was not much, he could at least linger on for a few more decades. However, what Chinanchi never expected was that this Shi Yun young master taught him several secret techniques and even gave him a longevity extending pill. This longevity extending pill could extend his lifespan by 1,000 years. If it wasn't for the increasing vitality in his body, Chen Nanchi wouldn't have believed that such a pill existed in this world. However, Chen Nanchi didn't expect that the Dragon Glory pill's grade had long surpassed his understanding of pills. This was because the Dragon Glory pill was no longer a spirit pill, but a 3rd grade immortal pill. Chen Nanchi couldn't recognize it, but if Tang Ao saw it, Tang Ao would naturally be able to recognize the Dragon Glory pill. However, Tang Ao didn't know about this. At this moment, Tang Ao wasn't in the mood to know about this. What Tang Ao wanted to know was how Shi Yun came to this place. Secondly, could it be that Shi Yun, a chaotic heaven realm expert, was trapped here and couldn't leave? If so, wouldn't he be trapped here for the rest of his life? After getting Shi Yun's permission, 7th great uncle opened the door of Shi Yun's thatched cottage and led everyone in. From the outside, Shi Yun's thatched cottage didn't look very big. However, when Tang Ao and the others entered, they were immediately shocked. This was not a thatched cottage, but a palace. This was the first time Zhongshan and the others had come here. Seeing this sudden change, Zhongshan, Lin Hu, and Situ Chantian instantly became vigilant. Although Tang Ao wasn't as nervous as them, his expression also changed slightly. Just now, Tang Ao had used his soul remembrance to investigate this thatched cottage from outside, but Tang Ao didn't find any traces of an array. One had to know that although Tang Ao's cultivation had dropped severely, Tang Ao's inheritance of Yun Xiaoyao's array, Dao, was not just for show. Even so, when Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to investigate the thatched cottage. Tang Ao still didn't find any array in this thatched cottage. Although Tang Ao couldn't see through this array, it wasn't a problem for him to determine that it was an array. Tang Ao was secretly shocked. It seemed that even though he had inherited Yun Xiaoyao's knowledge of formations, there were still many people in this world who were more proficient than him in formations. Unlike Shenanxi and the others, Tang Ao had a soul C, so Tang Ao's soul C was far from what a normal person could compare to. Even so, when Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to investigate this cottage, he still didn't detect the existence of an array. The moment the few of them entered the thatched cottage, the array formation within the thatched cottage was quietly activated. Fortunately, this was only a spatial array formation, not a trapping array, illusion array, or even a killing array. Otherwise, Tang Ao felt that even if he had the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror, he would still fall here today. This was because Tang Ao wasn't facing a body refining realm warrior or a life and death realm warrior. Instead, he was facing a legendary Hun Tian realm warrior. Hun Tian realm warriors were also known as Emperor-level warriors. Shenong Emperor, who taught Tang Ao the alchemy Dao, Yun Xiaoyao, who taught Tang Ao blacksmithing and arrays, and Ming Di, who passed on the underworld life spirit to Tang Ao, were all great Emperor-level experts. However, he was different from these great Emperor-level experts who had fallen tens of thousands of years ago. This Shi Tianyin was a living Hun Tian realm expert. Fortunately, it seemed that Shi Tianyin didn't have any malicious intentions towards them. If he was still alive, Shi Tianyin wouldn't even bother to attack them. Therefore, Tang Ao and the others were temporarily safe. However, Tang Ao didn't believe that a dignified Hun Tian realm expert would still be disdainful towards ants like them, even though he had fallen to such a state. Shi Tianyin was talking to them in such a pleasant manner, so there must be some ulterior motive. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.